entertain a motion to open the public hearing for 972 Main Street.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that there is no business to be dealt with, I entertain a motion to continue the hearing to September 8th or the 1st, whichever we decide our meeting is.
So do we want to decide which one our meeting is?
Want to decide that now?
Be cleaner to all the
Time
motions.
certain.
Yeah, I think we should. Is the 8th is fine with me. 8th fine with everybody?
September should be
It's the day after Labor Day.
should be fine.
Okay.
Works for me as well. Yeah.
8th it is.
Okay.
So continue, the motion to continue the meeting to September 8th has been made, and I believe it was seconded. Okay, you seconded it?
You made. Who made the motion?
It wasn't me.
Oh,
I made the
No.
motion. Okay.
Okay.
Move to continue the
Get the
public hearing
second
to
before the
September 8th.
motion, okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I would entertain a motion to open the hearing for 910 Main Street.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I would entertain a motion to continue that hearing to September 8th, and as much as we are waiting for the final report from the peer reviewer.
So moved.
Second?
Second. Is that September 8th? Is that
Also September 8th?
also, we don't want it sooner? No.
No.
Okay, good. Yeah. Perfect.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll open another public hearing for 10-16 Mount Vernon Street.
So
I would
moved.
entertain a motion to open the hearing for that.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
What is being, just want to open by saying that what we're reviewing tonight are the merits of the submission, not the project itself. In light of that, we will not be entertaining comments or questions from the public. We will defer public comments, and they will be welcome at the continuation of this hearing, whether we determine that's August 18th or September 8th or both. Tonight, we have a few things that we need to work through on this project. Would it be appropriate to hear from the applicant before we get started? Want to come forward? Introduce yourselves.
Okay, thank you. For the record, my name is Joseph Tavi. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Rubin and Rudman at 500 Unicorn Park Drive in Woburn, here on behalf of 1016 Mount Vernon Street LLC. With me is Jack Levitt, who's the principal of 1016 Mount Vernon Street. So the applicant has filed a development review application seeking approval of two things. One, a special permit pursuant to section 7.3.12.12 and 9.4.2 of the Winchester zoning bylaw to allow for an increase in the floor area ratio of 1.5 to 2.4. We would like to amend that request to state up to 2.5 in place of 2.4, because it's 2.4 more or less. We haven't got the final number. The second request is for site plan and design review pursuant to section 7.3.15 to allow for the construction of a third floor on the existing two-story mixed-use building at 1016 Mount Vernon Street, property being in the CBD zoning district. Proposal includes an additional floor on the third floor with 4 new residential units ranging in size from 399 square feet to 519 square feet. There'll also be associated accessibility and life safety improvements made to the building. I would like to point out that the agenda indicates that the additional floor space is approximately 8,500 square feet. It's actually closer to 2,500, 2,800 square feet. I know that's one of the requests that can be made tonight, that we list the square footage on each one of the floors, and that will be done prior to the time that you begin your deliberations. And then, in connection with this request, we have submitted an updated floor plan dated July 31st, prepared by Alvaro Lucina International Associates. We're having an issue updating the plot plan. Mr. Levitt's contacted at least a couple of engineers. I've contacted a couple, and they're all 2, 3, 4 weeks out. So we're still working on that. So in connection with the proposal, there are a number of waivers that we've requested. One, a waiver from the requirement of a site development plan. And the reason we've requested that is that the proposal only consists of an increase in the building height. There's no changes to site layout, parking configuration, access, circulation, or other site improvements. The next waiver we have requested, and actually I'm going to lump a couple of these just to save some time. So we've requested a waiver from the phasing plan, requested a waiver from traffic circulation and parking and transportation demand management and open space. And the reason for those requests is that, number one, there's only one phase. There's no site or public improvements proposed. And we're only talking about additional height, no additional parking spaces, and open space. Again, it's for the increased height only. And the last two waivers that we've requested is one, well, this is not a request of a waiver on the utility plan. We did provide a roof plan that shows the rooftop utilities. Originally, there was a waiver request for that. And then the last waiver was for landscaping plans. Since we're only talking about an increase in building height, we're requesting a waiver from that as well.
There was stormwater management and flood mitigation as well. You also requested that waiver?
Correct.
The stormwater management and flood?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't think you mentioned that, did you?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
Okay, just want to make sure we're covering all bases. Okay. Anything further?
No, that's,
I think in the interest of expediency, I would entertain discussion on those requested waivers, and at the conclusion of that discussion, that we would vote on those waivers and proceed to conclude the public hearing unless people have other desires. Seem reasonable to you? Comments?
Sounds good. Can I just, out of curiosity, where do your current residents park?
They park right across the street.
Okay, so they have street parking overnight?
No.
No. Oh, they park,
Jenks.
where are we? The Jenks.
Right across the street, and also behind the police station.
Okay.
They have a resident permit.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, all the people in Winchester that live downtown have residential permits.
Okay. And it's easy to get four more of those?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There's space. Great. I just didn't know. I didn't know where they parked.
Most of my tenants travel by rail, though.
Yeah. I mean,
It just,
it looks like it would be one person per unit, and they're in the middle of downtown. I just didn't know if they had, I don't know. Thank you.
All right, John, Amy, anything? Just a clarification, if I may. At present, the 5 units on the second floor are all rentals, is that correct?
yes,
And your intention is to convert them into condominiums or continue to rent them?
going to convert them into condominiums.
So it would be 9 condo units in total.
Correct. They're going to
Yes.
have first right of refusal, the
Good.
existing tenants.
Yeah, I just want to be clear on that. I wasn't sure.
Will the commercial units remain part of the HOA, or will they be separately owned?
There'll be condos, too. Everything's going to be
Oh,
condos.
you're getting rid of the commercial?
Yes.
No.
Your current commercial
you mean,
space rents,
Commercial.
Yeah.
Commercial,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
They're going to own their own space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
are they choosing to stay, do you know, or you don't know?
Oh, they don't know.
Okay, I was panicking, not my florist.
They got the nail salon in
Pondview, right?
Pondview's
The
been there for
florist.
30 years, 35 years.
I don't know their financials, I didn't know.
So, I'm sorry, I might have missed that. You're saying that the two commercial units will also become condominiums?
Yes,
Okay, and they'll be part of the HOA?
yes.
Okay, got it.
Nothing, I'm just zoning out on that, thinking about something else. I don't think I have about just accepting the application. I mean, I think it was clear in the staff report that the things that are requested to be modified would be completed before we actually start considering the
Exactly.
application, and that should be
Exactly.
complete before we start.
Exactly. I just wanted to get the waivers out of the way tonight, so we're not, I mean, these are just submission waivers. We're not considering the application yet.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else we need for,
Yeah, and I believe the applicant has been informed of the items that need to be modified. Have you? Have you been notified of the details of what needs to be modified?
Notified at 5 o'clock tonight.
Okay.
What needs to be modified.
I had it earlier today.
I didn't expect you to have it done by now.
It's taking so long.
Well, that said, I will entertain a motion for 7.3.16.4 site development plan. A waiver on that.
So moved.
Is there a second?
second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Second waiver request is for the phasing plan, 7.3.16.6. I'll entertain a motion to waive that.
So moved.
Can I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous again. Third waiver is for traffic circulation, parking, and transportation demand management plan, 7.3.16.8. Do I hear a motion to waive that?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
2 seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
The fourth waiver request is for 7.3.16.9, open space conservation lands and natural resources plan. Do I hear a motion for waive that?
So moved.
Second?
Staying out of it.
You were doing all the motions. I was trying to help you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next one is 7.3.16.12, stormwater management and flood mitigation plan, a waiver for that. Do I hear a motion to waive that? Is
So moved.
there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the last one is for a waiver for the landscaping plan.
Would that be 7.3.16.13?
That would be the one.
I moved that.
Okay, thank
So
you.
moved.
I would second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So with that, I would, unless anybody has anything further to add or questions, I would suggest that we make a motion to continue this hearing. I would suggest that we hold a joint meeting on the 18th of August with the CBDRS for the sole purpose of meeting with them to discuss this, and we can deal with the application in its entirety on September 8th. Does that seem reasonable to everybody?
So are we continuing this to August 18th?
August 18th for a joint meeting with the Center Business District Review Subcommittee.
Okay.
The only question I
Wait,
would
did
have-
we,
Go ahead.
we're moving to continue this, or we're moving to accept the application, or no?
We haven't, we still have things that need to be modified.
Not
So we don't officially accept the,
No.
I thought we were accepting the application and not.
You should accept the application.
Oh, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, I misunderstood.
Even with the things that are still outstanding.
Yeah. So on page On page 13, section 6, will be a recommendation on how to move forward while holding
Yeah.
the modifications to be required.
It's a motion that the board find the submission substantially complete, sufficient to begin its review. See it on the last page there.
You want me to read this?
Yeah.
I move that the board find the submission for PB 26-2 substantially complete and sufficient to begin its review, adopt the recommendations in the submission requirement table as the board's own, and require the materials in the outstanding items in the items table by the deadline stated. Those are stated in the table? Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 So now you can continue the hearing. One thing to note is that if Carrie's not going to be here.
Oh, that's right.
You're
Carrie
going to
won't be
want
here.
I won't be here.
all members need to be present. But if you hold it just as a CBDRS meeting, where that's not a quorum, that doesn't have to be a quorum of planning board members.
That's true.
So we're continuing this to September 8th,
You
but
would
we're bringing them
continue-
back for August 18th.
That would be correct.
Okay. I move to continue the public hearing until September 8th.
Well, hold on. If Amy and John and Brian and I are going to be here on the 18th, it could be an official planning board meeting. We are going to hear that report from the student. I don't want to keep deferring her.
That's fine. You can still have a meeting on the 18th. I just don't recommend having a public hearing without a planning board meeting, or a planning board member present.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So
Yeah, you can still have the rest of the meeting.
Okay, so we'll just have a joint meeting with CBDRS, and then we'll continue the hearing to September 8th as you moved.
That should be fine, yes.
We just need a second then.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes, sir.
Should we be at the meeting on August 18th?
I would recommend it.
Yeah.
The plan is, the way the CBDRS, if you're not familiar with it, is it's a joint subcommittee, advisory committee to this board that was formed when the Center Business District bylaw passed. It's in a project involving an historic building such as this. The board will be composed of 3 members of the Historical Commission and 2 members of the Design Review Committee. And they will review it with us and give their opinion.
It was inactive the last time you came through, but it's been revived as an efficiency tool.
This is joint with the planning board? Okay.
We'll hear their opinions and take them under advice. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ridge Street and Ridge and...
You want to, do we?
Well, it's up to you.
That's a good
We
thought.
have the ZBA and we have Mark here. You can decide to do it.
I would agree with that. Do we have representatives here on behalf of 189 High Street and 208 Ridge? Okay, but nobody from the High Street project? I would recommend that we hold off the hearing on the bylaw changes and move forward with projects for which people are in attendance here. That would be 114 Church Street, Mr. Mark Vaughn, representing the applicant, and the applicant for 208 Ridge Street after that. If members have no objection?
No objection.
Thank you. So, Mr. Vaughn, would you step forward?
I'm going to recuse myself from this.
Yep. Our friend Brigitte. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Pleased to be before you tonight. For the record, attorney Mark Vaughn with the law firm of Niemer and Bronstein. Office is located in Burlington at 700 District Avenue in Burlington. And with me tonight is Brigitte Steins, who is the architect working with the applicant here as well. So pleased to be before you and appreciate your providing the time for an informal discussion. We're here in connection representing the owner of the property that purchased 114 Church Street, which is the First Church of Christ property that's been located there for many, many years, as I think the board is obviously familiar with. It's a large parcel that's located at the corner of Church Street and Glen Road. And obviously you have the existing church building that's located today on the property. The property is zoned SCI, which is the Conservancy Institution zoning district. It is surrounded by residentially zoned land. in the RDB 10 zoning district, which comprises the area that surrounds it, across the street, so on and so forth. Again, it's a 1.5 acre parcel of land, and it's been used as a church for quite some time. So my client would be interested in a residential reutilization of the property, and obviously that is not allowed under the SCI zoning. So what we're interested in doing is considering the possibility of coming forward at the fall town meeting with a bylaw change. And what we had in mind was going to the RB20 zoning district, which is the multifamily zoning district, and I'll explain why. But basically, that is a zoning district that exists today. It was actually utilized some time ago, kitty corner across from us at the former the Baptist Church in the adjacent residential building on, I think it's 115 Washington Street is the official address. So there's obviously different options available in terms of, how one would go about trying to reuse the property. Single-family residential, just rezoning it to single-family, doing 4 to 5 single-family home lots, which would obviously involve demolishing the church building. 40B is always an option. I'm not suggesting that that's what we, others have brought that out, but that's not what we're, thinking about. But the option that seems to make the most sense would be the RB20, which would allow us to adaptively reuse the existing church building. We have a very conceptual plan that's been drawn up by Brigida, basically showing how the site could be laid out. But we would be talking about 5 residential condo units that would be in the main church building itself. And then there would be 13 townhome units that would be constructed as well. There'd be 2 groups of 5 units that are on Church Street, and those would all be accessed by a site drive off of Church with parking actually that's below grade underneath those buildings. What that allows us to do is maximize the amount of green space and minimize pavement on the site, having the parking below grade. And then there would also be a 3-plex of townhome units that would be behind the church, accessed off of Glen Road. What I think and hope that you might be able to appreciate from what was shown for the conceptual plan, and kind of going a little bit old school here with just some photos, but this allows us to preserve a lot of the signature trees that are a lot of the signature trees that exist in and around the existing church building, particularly at the corner of Glen Road and Church Street. I know that from my client talking to folks in the neighborhood, and as well as myself and others, that there seems to be a lot of focus on trying to maintain and preserve the existing trees that are there, that I think are quite spectacular, to be honest with you, in terms of how the building sits on the property. So that would, by preserving the church and adaptively reusing it, that would allow for that to happen. So there'd be a total of 18 units under the RB20 zoning. Technically, the maximum density that you can do is 20 units per acre. So conceivably for 1.5 acres, you could obviously go up to 30 units. That's not what we're looking to do. This is the plan that we would like to proceed with, should we be fortunate enough to, have a rezoning of the property to the RB20. So these would obviously be smaller units than what you'd see if they were just single-family homes that were constructed on the property, townhome style. I think they're, probably under 2,000 square feet in size. So really what they're meant to appeal to is empty nesters, folks in town that are looking to downsize, remain in the community, close to family and friends, but perhaps they've outgrown the bigger home that they're in, and they're looking to downsize. That's something that's more manageable. So So again, wanted to have this informal discussion with the board because obviously there's a little bit of a tight timeline between now and the November town meeting. I think we would need to submit a warrant article sometime beginning mid-September in order to make the applicable deadlines for November. But thought that this had a lot of merit, seemed to be a good reuse of the property, and obviously we're here to talk further with you. So, and Brigitte, if there's anything that you would like to add that I didn't cover appropriately or
Covered it
screwed
really
up, then please jump in. So.
Comprehensively. It's just maybe a little bit more from the design side, how we approached it. And I'm actually very excited about the project because I love adaptive use and I love seeing buildings remaining and being adjusted to current day's needs. So converting the church to condominiums with each separate access makes it, they are townhouse concepts, so you go on the side, walk inside up. It's very, will be beautiful units, and while we can maintain the appearance of this old, it's not under historically protected, but it is a historical building which we really love to see maintained. And then, as we all know, the property, the corner lot, is very beautiful with these old stock of trees. The large beech trees in the front have both have 60 inches diameter. I mean, this is you don't find that too often, and this needs to be preserved. And that said, it's that developed automatically that the development needs to be on the right side of the church and not on the left side, which also at the same time then maintains the views. The small scale townhouses allow to have a much better response to the surrounding neighborhood in terms of scale. What you see now is, of course, blocks, and it's not very appealing, but because there's no architectural style defined yet, right now it's only about massing and sizing. And the benefit of the property is also that it slopes towards the right side, so away from Glen Street towards the neighboring house, which is currently, I believe, empty, 118 Church Street. And this allows us a driveway, basically sneaking it in without looking too much like a big garage going, all the way down, and we don't have this huge ramp because the property, the topography helps us a lot to access that. And the townhouses itself, and having the streets off, the cars off the street is always a benefit. It's visually a benefit. It's convenient for people who live there, and so that's a great opportunity without destroying the entire lot in its beauty in itself. And in addition, the small housing stock in Winchester is always in demand, so the houses are, and I have the numbers here, right now currently, since it's all still in development, but they are roughly around 1,700, 2,000 square feet. So it's a good place also for Winchester residents who want to downsize, who don't want to live in a big house anymore, don't want to have a big yard anymore to maintain. So this would be a great opportunity. And I think that's...
Yeah, and then and we did show just up at the top right kind of representative height, just so you're aware. The height would be, of the townhomes would not be as tall as the church building itself, and they'd actually be less than what you are allowed to do in the single-family residential zone, or
in the neighboring,
35 feet. So
35, I think.
40 feet in the neighboring.
yeah, I think we can go up to 40, feet in the RDB or RDA, and here we're looking to have it
We
at
haven't
35 feet.
we haven't calculated the average grade, so
Yeah, okay.
but we will not go higher than what is allowed in the neighboring.
Now, as you said, the grade goes down towards, away from Church Street. Do you envision that the townhouses would also step down?
The grade actually goes in this direction, so I can
See those some
Yeah.
So it slopes from here to there.
It doesn't go back to...
It does a little bit also in the back, but it's more really the steeper slope to this property. So if you come from Church Street, you have the sidewalk here, the driveway here is quite a bit lower than if you would enter here.
Yeah.
The current driveway. So right now it has this roundabout almost to the U-shaped driveway, and this one sits much lower than this one sits here. That means that, like you can see it here in the section, that's the lowest point. The street might be at -6 or something, so you don't have to cut.
Okay. I know that there's when it rains heavily like it did yesterday, the runoff goes down. There's kind of a swale there. It goes down toward the what's it called, Glen?
Glen. Yeah, Glen.
But the other curve is called something else.
So the curve around is all Glen.
On both sides of the.
There's a house on the other side, I think.
Yeah. But it does. But the water runs down that way. Okay.
Yeah. That's
You anticipate? I don't want to get into details at this stage, but probably inappropriate. Everybody's got questions about this.
It still needs a lot of
Well, I
design.
understand that.
What would you hope to have ready for town meeting? Would you have a rendering of the townhouses, or would you plan to bring this and ask for the rezoning?
We would certainly have more than this plan ready. How much the architectural style is developed has to be seen.
I should probably say that the way the RB20 works is that if the zoning were approved, we would still need to go for special permit approval to the ZBA.
Yes.
Obviously, this board would review and comment on it. So recognizing that certainly people don't approve a rezoning in a vacuum necessarily, like to see some idea of what's built. We can provide additional graphics, but in terms of doing the hard engineering and the final design, we would want to make sure the zoning's in place before, doing
Yeah.
that.
I mean, based on essentially a cartoon drawing, I think you've thought of all the points I would have been concerned about, like, will it be scaled to the neighborhood? It sounds like it will. The adaptive reuse is really exciting. We need the housing right there. I think this project could be really incredible. I love that you're preserving all the trees. Thank you. That is what's special about that spot.
Yeah.
The rainbow shot is so cute.
Yeah.
In terms of timing, it's really the call of the town meeting to approve this zoning change. It's not our call. We can only recommend.
Right.
But we still have to hold public hearings, correct? And we have 65 days to hold a public hearing, which takes us right up well beyond the filing date for the...
We have to get from them their bylaw, their change, final change they want, and then we can schedule for 65 days, but we don't need to use all 65 days. We just could.
I mean, as we've seen, we don't have to endorse and bring a zoning change, so it's worth pulling the group, although it seems like it's going to go pretty smoothly for you.
Yeah. So, what are our obligations? We can recommend it or not, or we can be neutral, but we don't really have an approval authority on this.
That is correct. There's no action needed tonight. This is a good introduction to what is to come. The warrant closes on September 21st. Get your citizens petition in before then. Once all petitions are submitted, the planning board will have a public hearing on all zoning related articles, including their own and any others that come in. That's not scheduled yet. Probably sometime in October is my guess.
Probably our first October meeting, I would guess.
And then at that meeting, Mr. Vaughn or anyone else can come and do a similar presentation, but that will be a public hearing, and that will open you up to public comment and anyone who wants to come and ask you questions, ask the board questions. And then the board may make their recommendation at that meeting, or you may make a recommendation at a different meeting. You don't need to make your recommendation then.
Yeah.
And you don't have to make a recommendation either.
We always meet the night of the first night of town meeting to review things, so we may postpone that decision till then, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Okay. Everybody clear?
I think we just thank you for your time.
Yes.
I have a couple comments or questions, I guess. Did you consider not pursuing townhomes in the same footprint?
That was in the beginning of the design process, but multifamily usually ends up not being easily added into the fabric of a residential neighborhood, and that's what led to townhouses in the end.
Yeah, I live around the corner from this property, and I love the idea of changing the zoning here. I love keeping the church and adding the condos to the church. I think keeping the trees is incredible. I like the footprint of of what you've drawn here. I hesitate on townhomes because in theory, I think they're wonderful. They look great. They have a little bit more of a single-family feel, which is a single-family neighborhood for the most part, minus a couple of large apartment buildings along Church Street. But if you're targeting empty nesters, people who want to age in place with underground parking, I'm not expecting a townhome of this size to have its own elevator. They're going to be narrow, so you're probably not going to have, you get home from Stop and Shop, you've got your groceries, you've got to hike up the stairs to the first floor. Most townhomes have an office on the first floor, maybe not the kitchen right on the first floor. Then you got to go up another level to your primary. If you can even fit a secondary bedroom on that level. If not, you got to go up another. If the target audience for these homes is really that community, I question if maybe within the same footprint. I'm not suggesting that we tear everything out and put up a huge. That's not at all what I'm suggesting. I was just wondering if you had considered maybe instead of a 3-story townhome, maybe duplex down, or is just something that might actually work a little bit better for that population. I was just curious. Before you go to town meeting, it could be something to consider.
Yes. Thank you for your comment, and we did consider that. It's, as I said, it's much harder to weave it into the fabric then. So you're absolutely right. A multifamily with an elevator works better for that population, for this location, for this very special property. It might be more sensitive to look for also for the...
And the zoning change you seek would allow for either, in theory.
It does allow for either. It allows for townhomes. It allows for apartment house, which I think technically is what you're alluding to, which would be 3 stories or higher, right? Or garden apartment allows for as well. They're all by special permit, so there is some
Covering
flexibility.
all your bases by asking that specific.
The other population that competes for these spaces are the pre-kid couples that try to move to town, and they are totally happy to bound to the 3rd floor to live in Winchester in a townhome instead of they're ending up.
Right.
And I mention empty nesters as target audience, but I think it could be
There's
both.
a huge demand in this community for. There is a huge population of people that really seek that type of housing.
Right.
So I think that the end user for this is spot on.
Right.
You want to make sure that the housing you're building is suited to the people that you're trying to target. So I was just curious if that had been considered, and to ensure that if you were to vary from the townhome setup, if you would still be covered, you would have to go back to town meeting, for example. Because if you were to then all of a sudden pivot to wanting to then do single-family homes, you'd have to pivot and rezone, I think.
Yeah, single family isn't
It's
actually
totally
allowed.
separate, right? I was just curious if your bases would be covered from all different types of multi-unit housing.
I will say that I represented the developer of the Winning Farm project up on Thornbury Road, which was actually an age-restricted development, 55 and over. But those are, garages with stairs and whatnot. Granted, not the parking below grade, but at least for the 3 that are on Glen, I think they're somewhat similar in terms of,
you can fit, if they're wide enough that you can fit kind of like the garage in the one level, as much as you can on one level. I think that's a great layout. I just wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Brian's an empty nester. I will be in like
Not
4
long for
years.
you either.
I know. I'm right behind you.
Actually, we have a lot of empty nesters around here too.
I feel pretty good.
I mean, I lived in a 4-story townhouse with little kids, and didn't have kids when I moved in, and thought it would be fine. And
Yeah.
having to hike all the way up to
That's the only
my
group that
daughter's
does not live
bedroom
there.
because we left our lovey,
Yeah, yeah.
made it to the car without it. Those stairs, it was just a question. I just want to make sure your bases are covered so you're not necessarily going back again.
Understood, yeah.
And was wondering.
Thank you.
So we look forward to seeing the proposed language, and
Yeah, I think the proposal, it would be pretty simple to be, it's really just a map amendment in
Yeah.
this instance. It's
Yeah.
rezoning the subject property of the RB20. Just for the sake of full disclosure, I will mention that as part of any application that would ultimately be made to the ZBA, we would probably need to get some element of special permit relief from them for preservation of the building in terms of the RB20 has some heightened setback requirements and whatnot, but we do think that under that provision that you're probably familiar with in the bylaw, it allows flexibility where the end result is a preservation of a building that I think a lot of folks do. It may not be quote unquote historic because it was built in 1956, I believe, but
it's on the state register.
it is on the Macros database. It's a Royal Barry Wills design, which I know is near and dear to a lot of folks' hearts. But so, all right, well,
Great.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
For
Thank
coming
you.
in. As I said before, in the interest of saving people's time, we'll hear the application for, the ZBA application for number 208 Ridge Street. This is a, I'm reading my notes here.
You.
This is a special permit approval for the construction of an accessory dwelling unit that will result in floor area equal to or greater than 5,000 square feet and results in a grade change of more than 500 square feet by more than 6%.
This is just site plan review, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you Mr. Santini?
I am.
Okay, the floor is yours.
So my name is Greg Santini. I'm the contractor representing the owner of 208 Ridge Street. We're presenting today is putting an accessory dwelling unit in the rear of their property. You know, what we have in the plan is a 2-story assisted dwelling unit in the rear of the lot that's less than 900 square feet. You know, you mentioned stormwater and all that. We presented the stormwater, and I don't think we're necessarily talking about that today, but we just have a stormwater plan, and we're showing the driveway, the unit in the back. We know in the rear of the lot we're showing a step-down retaining wall that we'll be putting in. And the reason this is getting brought about is due to we have to raise the grade in the back of the lot to have it level with the existing grade of the house.
My familiarity with that lot is that it slopes down away from Ridge Street.
Yes.
But it's an odd-shaped lot, as you can see.
It's a very difficult lot.
My
yes.
recollection is that this is a very historic house,
Yes.
that the adjacent lot on the left side, when I first lived here, had a big old barn.
Yes.
It's a beautiful barn. It was demolished in place of a new home that was built there.
Yeah, you know more than I would on that. I kind of heard that though.
I used to be on the historical commission, so I know.
And I look back on, you know, as we dug into this property, seeing some of the historical files and the history behind it. Yeah, it did mention about a barn.
It's got a remarkable history.
Yeah, which I don't know if the owner realized, you know, more now than ever.
But that's why my point was simply that's why the lot is so oddly shaped, is because it used to incorporate the lot to the left. Yeah. And they carved it up, subdivided it probably about 25 or 30 years ago.
I thought it was longer than that.
No. I remember that barn. I used to run by it all the time.
Okay.
To make hopsichords.
Pardon me?
They made hopsichords there.
Did they? You're the veteran. You tell us, John.
I know this house
It was a beautiful barn, wasn't it?
It was.
I was sad to see it torn down.
Yeah.
I was hoping that they would renovate it, turn it into a home.
It was Mr. Fudge. He was a house maker.
I didn't know that.
So,
Anything further?
I think
It's pretty straightforward.
straightforward, yeah. Yeah.
Any questions or comments by the board members?
hold on.
So the only change is the it's above the
Having to
gross
raise
floor area, right? We're hitting setbacks and all of that.
But
in
it's
that
also
corner.
the change of grade.
Grade change, yeah.
Over 5,000 total square feet.
Yeah, but it's not.
And the grade changes in the back to accommodate the ADU, is that
Yes.
correct? Okay, you're raising it up
Yes.
with the retaining wall. And the retaining wall will be how tall?
Approximately, it steps down.
Yeah.
But the whole total length, I think, is about 14 feet.
And the height?
Height total, but it would, go up
Oh, it's
6.
tapers?
Tapers, as you can kind of see, I was showing you tapering there with the stairs, and they'll have the stairs going down the back.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yep. And no trees coming down. You said that driveway is new, the red outline? Brown outline?
That is, that driveway, so the existing kind of shows in the front there, and then there's a tree that's staying that we're gonna go around, and then the other stuff that's coming out where that driveway is going is all shrubbery right now.
Okay.
But there is one large tree that is about 30 feet in that is staying, and the driveway is gonna go around.
And around it. Okay.
My recollection is there's no garage, that's just, you park right there on the street. I mean, in this little parking.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's all new impervious surface? Or are you using pavers or something?
Pervious service, no, not pavers. Wasn't planned to use pavers.
Does engineering go over all that, I guess?
Yeah, we'll review it.
I mean,
It's not been reviewed by.
they're going to have to stop an engineering before they get a permit, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good. Just out of curiosity, because we haven't seen many ADUs come through, like what's the inside, like how are you setting it up? Is it?
The inside's gonna have first floor living with a kitchenette, kitchen I should say, and then there'll be a second floor where there'll be a bedroom and a bathroom, full bath.
That's great.
And then closet space and whatever else the family wants to use the space.
I love it. I don't have any other questions.
Anybody else?
No, I don't have any questions.
I would ask for a motion.
Are we approving or are we recommending favorable action?
Favorable action.
I move to recommend favorable action on 208 Ridge Street's
It's
site plan review.
It is.
208B.
208B Bridge Street.
I move to recommend favorable
Z2611.
action on ZBA petition Z2611 208B Ridge Street as the proposed project does not present adverse impact to the community and adds housing.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nobody opposed? Thank you.
Thank you for your time today.
With that, we'll move on to a hearing. I guess we need to open I need a formal motion to open the hearing on the proposed bylaw changes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. We're moving into a hearing on the bylaw changes. We have a few things we need to accomplish tonight.
I just want to find the page in the packet.
It's 108, but it starts at
108.
I think it's, let me pull that up. Let's see.
I apparently wrote a memo on this.
102. I think it's page
102.
102.
102. Okay. Yeah, there's the memo.
Yeah, there it is. So the actions that on the page 104, the actions that Taylor has spelled out for us that we need to consider and decide on tonight there are 6 actions. I won't read them all. If you have them in front of you, you can read them yourselves. But think initially we want to decide if we want to proceed with all of these recommendations for the fall town meeting, or is there any that we want to defer to a later town meeting? Secondly, we want to decide if Brian's additional Section 3.5 amendments should be included, or should we defer that as well? We need to decide whether a limited center business district inclusionary housing amendment should be added, or whether all inclusionary housing work should be deferred. Work on that amendment should be deferred. We haven't really discussed that too much. I don't know, do you want to take these one at a time? What's your feeling on the whole package?
I mean,
as proposed by community scale.
I was going to say, I'm happy to, at least as far as what I was proposing for Section 3.5, my vision always was that that would be something that we'd introduce, but I saw as a spring.
Okay.
Because community scale had introduced some discrete changes to Section 3.5, I've been working on this for like a year and a half. I wanted to start doing something, at least get some feedback, and then get feedback from all the stakeholders. This is like really its first viewing. To go to fall town meeting, I think would be a little reckless of, and that's something that near and dear to me. But I did want to, so I say that not to just say, well, let's not talk about it. It's just I wanted to be able to get feedback from the board, even if they just now can read it and send me feedback or whatever, however it works.
So we'll exclude that from our submission for the warrant.
I think so. The real question is, do we want to exclude the other things that community scale has for Section 3.5 so that we're not making a revision to 3.5 and then bringing around a revision to 3.5 in the spring again? And that's again why I brought it forward. It's not an entire rewriting, but it's some dramatic changes in the language, not necessarily in the meaning.
And it's worth mentioning that we kind of have three legs of the tripod coming together, where you've done a ton of work on this and excellent work, and community scale made their kind of 20,000-foot view on what could change, and then the state regulations affect this.
And it's just changing now.
So I hesitate. I feel your eagerness to kind of just get some things fixed because we do trip over them, but I really hesitate to do a piecemeal.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I'm backing you up.
Okay,
backing you up. Yeah, I know there's sort of we have these little things, can we knock them off? But I think a comprehensive rewrite probably makes more sense.
If I could get some clarity from Taylor, I recall that the legislation that was being considered and ultimately passed, when we first met with Community Scale in April, we asked about that and they were fully aware of it. And so can we assume that the changes that they are recommending take those into account? Or do we need to lay them side by side?
I didn't feel like it was.
So I would say yes, community scale approached this with their knowledge of what was going to be introduced. However, what was actually introduced was a little more broad than what I think anyone at community scale thought it was going to be, particularly with variances. Now, I guess we do talk about variances a little bit. Do we? About the special permit granting authority or permit granting authority for variances?
Mm-hmm. We do in Section 3.5. I don't know if we do in any.
Yeah, I think if anything, 3.5 is affected the most by the changes, while some of the other changes, actually most of the other changes, are not affected at all.
Okay.
I mean, I guess arguably the attorneys are the most ready to handle them now because they're just dealing with it constantly. But I mean, we've seen it every time. We pass them kind of as soon as possible, and then they have to be rewritten. So this is one that's probably less urgent to pass immediately because it's not as much.
We could be really lazy and just let Karis decide. let her say, well, you didn't take this into account.
I would be careful about.
So anyway, the last thing I'll say about 3.5. The last thing I'll say about 3.5 is there's a memo in the packet from me with changes that I proposed, and then a red line version of it. But again, I think the purpose of this was simply if the stars aligned and we said, yeah, let's go ahead with something, but I mean, I haven't talked to Tom, I haven't done the roadshow at all. I just wanted to try to quickly get something in so it wasn't, you didn't think I ignored my job.
No, on behalf of the board, I would say we are very pleased and grateful that you put all this work into this.
I shotgunned a bunch of my thoughts to you. Sorry about that.
But what? No, I appreciate all the thoughts I get.
So,
That was great.
So that off the table, then there's only 5 things to talk about.
We're just going to
well,
slice them down.
I think,
There's something I think we can all get behind, like let's fix the fill problem. Let's do 6.4.
I mean,
the new one, that's
New
a separate,
section.
Yeah, that's a separate article, clearly. I
Yeah.
mean, if we're going to get down to brass tacks here, I think we're going to have, by my count, 4 articles here. I think the first one would deal with the small changes in Section 3 and Section 4. And then
Unless we do nothing in
We just
section
took out 3, yeah.
we're taking out 3 altogether. I'm sorry.
Because all the changes for 3 are in 3.5, and I think the thinking that
Okay,
we just
okay.
said was to not do that now.
Well, they were pretty modest changes, but okay.
I mean, they're meaningful changes.
I would still recommend at least considering changes to 3.5.5. Nels says .1, but Tom corrected this. It's actually 3.5.5.2, which is adding a lot width into this section.
Which is now actually the state law, is it not? I believe. I mean, again, it's hard to tell what the state law actually is, but based on the memo, I thought that was something that if it's on a lot with insufficient, rebuilding a house on a reconstruction extension on a lot that meets all setbacks except that it,
If we're going to do tiny changes to 3.5, then we also leave in their suggestion that if we do anything to 3.5, I think those 2 small things are fine. I think the second one, if the resulting lot results in a conforming structure, no special permit is necessary, it would save a lot of pain.
Yeah.
It's totally woven into what you're doing, which is why I could see hesitating, but it would take some work off the desk immediately.
I mean, then I don't have to include
For
that in the
everyone.
change in the spring. Yeah.
Okay, so that's one article. Is everybody happy with the?
Well, that's 3 and 4 together. So
That's what I'm
4 is
saying.
also dimensional requirement. So 4, we're saying just add the line for floor area ratio, but I think
Yes.
we need to talk a bit about that.
Sure, go ahead.
I just want to make sure that I'm clear on how. Okay, so adding the line to the dimensional table is obviously fine. The questions that I had included things like, so the garages are not, so I'm trying to picture, so the floor area ratio being the sorting hat for whether something goes to, I have many questions. Okay, so we're changing the, I think we have to start at applicability. So we're changing the applicability to only changes to a property that push the FAR above 0.5, right? And so I'm trying to think of what we lose doing that. If it goes above that, now it goes to the special permit process. So we're effectively axing site plan review. And
We lose everything that's in site plan review. I had this conversation.
Yeah, and so I think, so we can futz with the definition of FAR if we want to, but I think, I'm not sure I just don't think we've digested the applicability section well enough, and I think we need to postpone that. So if we do that, or if we parse out which parts of that we end up applying, maybe my questions are less important. But one of the things that I tried to work through was sort of like, okay, if we go with the FAR, if we go with the 0.5, then I did a table that or I sort of like worked out the calculations of like what would be the footprint that you were allowed. So the footprint for the FAR, is it going to end up, I'm envisioning something that's not in front of you, so I'm just staring at screens today. It's just the brand of tired I am right now. But if we take, like, let's say we're looking at, RBD 10 has a 70% open area requirement. So we can have a 3,000 square foot building and a maximum floor area of 5,000 square feet, and we can go to 2.5 stories, and we don't count the garage. We count the accessory buildings, right? So we can have a maximum of that floor area. Like, at what point are we running into open area with the garage?
So the garage, whether you count the garage or not, depends where it is.
So if it's detached, it counts in the FAR.
Well, I think the thing is, if it's...
Come on down.
If it's in the basement, if it's not on the floor,
Right, if it's below
you
grade.
don't count it. It's just like a basement.
Yeah.
But if you have it sitting next to the house on grade,
Yeah.
it counts.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
That's correct. Just to go back and clarify the conversation before that, the lot width and demolishing a house and it becomes completely conforming is two separate issues.
Yes.
Okay.
That wasn't what I meant.
So, it's like if we're going to have an article for 3.5, should we
Yeah,
put
just
those
throw,
things in there separately?
and that's why I came. I think you should throw it away and digest it a little bit. Because I think I have a little bit different thoughts after thinking about this.
Okay.
So the garage is included if it's above grade, not included if it's below grade.
And no difference if it's attached or detached. It's included in the FAR?
It's included in the GAF right now, GFA right now.
Think about it, if it wasn't,
Even
didn't have
though
a car.
in our bylaw, that's conflicting,
But
because in our
but in the
bylaw,
site plan, it tells you to count.
but we're
It,
throwing out. So.
yeah, if you were to think about, could you, if you finished it, could you live in it, and have pizza?
Well, actually, we've had probably 3 that converted a garage into
Right,
living
so-
space this
Yeah.
So
year.
then if you build, so then you have to get a special permit if you build a garage for the purpose of adding an ADU above it. But then does the garage count as the?
Well, it depends on what type of, if it's a conforming lot, you would have to get a special permit. If it's a non-conforming lot, you would need to get a variance for adding a garage and an ADU. Currently,
Yeah.
what happens tomorrow when we finally digest what the new law
Right.
is telling
Right.
us?
So if
It
it's
may
a
be different.
conforming garage on a non-conforming lot, then suddenly it's fine.
If you had a 9,000-foot lot in RB10 and you wanted to do an ADU, you would need a special permit because
If it was conforming.
because it's a non-conforming lot with respect to area.
I think, again, after it digests, if you go with the 50% of 0.5, you're actually reducing. I think the biggest area that we struggle with is the RG zone. Right, so if you go with a 0.5, you're actually reducing the size of the house that you can put on a 6,500 square foot home.
Yeah,
It would go down to 3,250 rather than the 3,600.
Yeah.
So it's either you have a sliding scale,
Yeah, I think.
which I think is tough, or just do away with FAR.
Well, so in two of the overlay districts, we allow an increased FAR if some of it's getting cars off the street, right? So in like the elder housing and apartment district or something, you can go from I don't remember, but you can increase it by 0.5 if the parking is coming off the street. So, but the garage isn't in the FAR, so I didn't understand that loophole either. I just can't close all the loops on FAR.
It is true that this 0.5 continues to create problems in RG where we have most of the issues. Like for a two-family, which would be 11,000 feet, now you're at 5,500, which you're better than where you were, but it probably isn't enough because you're going to want 1,000 feet of garage. You're getting a lot closer. For a 6,500 square foot lot, I don't know. Like 3,600 is like a really good. That's a lot of house on that lot.
On 6,500 square, I would agree.
Yeah, and it.
Not a lot of house on 11,000 square feet.
No, but it's a lot of house on. But that's like twice as much.
Right.
And we also, you can now subdivide and peel, if we, wait, which one passed and which one needs to pass? The 5,000 square
That
foot.
hasn't passed yet. That's
Has not passed. So if that ends up passing, then we're in a bit of a pickle.
a lot of things are going to happen.
That's sort of why I think applicability needs to we need a lot more thought on that one. And I think because we're going to redigest light industrial, I don't think we should decide to not. I keep thinking about the role that site plan review plays, and site plan review causes many headaches, but it protects the designs come to us ready for site plan review. That's partly why it feels like a headache, because most people come in with all the boxes checked because they know we're going to sit here and be like, what are you doing with the tree? And what about the headlight glare? But like, if we're not asking for that, so do you feel like it's adequately captured on your desk? Like, do you feel like you're covering, will the headlight glares go into the neighbor? Are we buffering and screening appropriately? Like, do you want that job?
No.
Okay. So that's sort of what I would like that to be faster. I would like that to be like, these are not issues, we don't need to look at them. But I don't necessarily want to remove the entire, I thought we were stripping the process down and making it easier to waive the parts that don't apply. I didn't think we were throwing the whole thing away and moving to special permit. And the special permit bar really just asks, is there a benefit to the community and is there a fiscal impact from this project? And the answer over and over and over again in these districts is going to be it's housing, you need the housing. And so that it's not a meaningful bar. It should move to site plan review, and site plan review process should be improved.
So one of the things that you just said was one of the things that I really was thinking about earlier, which was, how are we going to manage headlight glare? For instance, that's gone now effectively.
Especially if we can double the population.
And the other thing is, I know it's just site plan review, presumably it's going to get covered in special permit. There's a lot of other things in here, groundwater, offsite wastewater disposals. Like, I understand they're going to be covered by engineers, but there are things that are in site plan review that are gone now. And for instance, the removal of trees is in site plan review. In special permit, it's actually watered down from that. It's more like just moving vegetation.
Right. So I hesitate to say take site plan review and special permit, divorce them, and then push everyone to the.
Because I originally thought that, well, it's just going to go to special permit. That's a higher bar. But it's just a different bar.
It's just a different bar.
Different bar.
Yes.
It is
The
a
special
higher
permit
bar,
is a much higher bar than a site plan review.
But it's looking at very different, but it's a
Criteria
higher,
are not the
higher
same.
bar, but it's also a different, because it's got different criteria. They're not looking at light intrusion from headlights in special permit at all. It's not one of the.
But one of the reasons we wanted to make some of these changes, just for example, and 208 Ridge Street, right? That was a site plan review, and we didn't, technically, the ZBA is now going to have to review all of site plan review for the small change. Is someone adding a small addition to the rear of their house just, by going over their square footage requirement by one, mean that they should be required to go through the whole lengthy site plan review?
No, that's what I mean. I thought we were going to make the process less painful by saying these 5 things, quicker waivers or some, very concrete criteria that could be.
That's what you want to set aside
two
from that.
things.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's 2 things that we need to remember with this particular change. One, gross area is not allowed. We can't, per community sales, we can't use gross area. We have to use something else. So FAR is like the next best option. So I don't think doing nothing is really a choice based on what community scale said. We are not legally allowed or supposed to be, or we're in violation of something if we continue to operate under gross area.
Right in chapter 40, you can't miss it.
So,
But it's probably not if we just sort of rethink it and this is like maybe we can just we under Diab, whose arm is going to fall off before we finally call him, we would just meet a lot. We would just plow through materials, so we could just meet very regularly and get this right in time, but I don't think we're there.
I think what Community Scales was saying is you cannot regulate existing homes. So
That
if
was
you
my
let them
next-
build it,
that was my next point.
if you let them build it, you can't regulate what happens inside.
Yeah, so
But you can regulate before they build it.
I think the other thing to remember is that Winchester, also based on community scales feedback, is the only community that is doing such extensive site plan review for single family.
Yeah, no, site plan review needs to change. We're all
I
on board.
think when you think about the things you quote unquote lose control over when site plan review changes, what are we trying? They always kept saying, what are you trying to control? What are you trying to accomplish as a board? And I think site plan review has a very special place for things where light is making a huge difference to a neighborhood or a community. But for the example that we just did with 208 Ridge, we did not talk once about lights.
I literally
So-
looked at the map and saw where it was, and I looked at the map and saw there were no houses around. I mean, I
I'm
did.
just saying, I think that the intention of making it easier is to kind of lessen the load, and it feels like we're at the point where we can do it, and everyone's getting nervous to lessen the load and let go
No,
of
but
the
there's
reins.
we're talking about the fact that we should lessen the load, but we shouldn't necessarily throw the whole thing.
I'm not saying we should throw it out.
But
I'm
this
just
is
saying,
throwing it out. The
There's
change
almost
that's
nothing that will
proposed
ever
is-
use site plan review. There's like two things
Yeah.
left that use site plan review. I'm not saying we shouldn't have those two
The original question was, do we want to have site plan review for single-family homes?
Yeah.
That was community scale's first
Where
question,
that's extremely unusual.
which is extremely, extremely, extremely unusual. So
None of the surrounding communities have site plan review.
So
for
I
single-family.
realize it feels like a huge change from how things
But
have
that's what I'm
always
asking. Like,
been.
is the application process? Is there a way that we can capture the concern? I mean, I see it. I see it as a way that we sort of like, check. Like I understand the sort of like property owner rights, kind of like that version of things. But like as the planning board, we sort of like spend all this time doing a master plan, and I see them as like micro check-ins for whether or not we're changing according to the goals of the community. And I think we've heard over and over again how burdensome the process is, mostly by people who have been on the planning board and understand like that it needs to change. It's just, how do we make sure that we are, like, is it literally just like check boxes that need to be added, or what do we do to make sure that we're not suddenly allowing the corners that you would cut as somebody who is sort of like doing your own like if it's just easier, like, okay, I would really like the driveway over there, let's take down the trees even though there's no more screening and buffering. That's what any homeowner would do. It's easier. So like we're that pressure point that's like, if you can wiggle it, that'd be nice. The tree stays, the buffering stays.
I think
it's put that pressure point on without hauling everyone to town hall.
I think it's kind of sad to have such little faith in our neighbors that we're all going to do that to each other. Like when I moved to Winchester, there were a ton of trees on my neighbor's lot. It was our land that were impinging on their house, and we got together as a neighborhood and we replanted all the trees. Like we took the dead trees down as a group. It was our land. They wanted it. We worked together. Like we're talking about a community as if we're all just like cutting corners, and I think that's those were your words. I mean, we're like, can we have a little faith?
But I said like
process. I just, like we're not approving parking.
Diab has been very, very patient. Let's let Diab speak.
Chair Emeritus would champing at the bit here.
I have a number of statements about the entire set of changes. But since you're talking...
Lance, come on up.
I know, Lance.
Let's
You can
fill
come.
the whole
So let me just...
David, why not?
Yeah. So we may as well start with site plan review. Ian, I'm not you, so you can have your sign back. So first off, I would like to see the problem.
Diab, sorry, can you say your name?
I'm sorry, my name is Diab Jurius. I live at 26 Canal Street. So we talk, the concept of site plan review being onerous has been with the planning board for multiple versions of this board. If you look at the number of site plan reviews which come before the ZBA over the course of a year, it's actually rather small. We're not talking hundreds. So I think if you look at the ratio...
David might feel differently.
I agree that you having to deal with it may feel differently. But let's look at the real issues, I think, of site plan review. Most of the projects that go through the building department don't go through site plan review. Right? So we're looking at how onerous is site plan review in terms of the total number of projects. What we have heard at this board and from some members of this board is that site plan review is really onerous when you have to make a small change which creeps over this limit. And so if you remove site plan review, except, you are losing a lot of the benefits of site plan review gives you for the larger projects. While I do like my neighbors, I also know that a lot of my neighbors have taken down very large trees, which upsets me greatly. So it's not a question of not trusting your neighbors, to get to your point. It's a question that neighbors don't always agree. And when it comes to a dispute of that nature, it's good to have a objective board be able to look at it and come to something. But I noticed that, when we put in the current limits in the site plan review in terms of the size of an addition based on the zoning district, it was specifically to address the creation of McMansions. And the idea was that if you put in a site plan review above a certain limit, people just don't build that higher because they don't want to hit site plan review. And we had to tweak it at least once because some developers found a way around that. And so what you'll see now is I don't think you'll see, we used to have a lot of site plan reviews based on these larger limits. We tweaked it and it's down. And so that has, I think, successfully dealt with McMansions in as well as we could. I'm very concerned that when you go to the 0.5 FAR, that you are creating not an incentive to build, but when you look at a 20,000 square foot lot and you're able to put on a 10,000 square foot house without any review, that is enormous. And this doesn't allow anything like that. So it essentially will take out the whole lot. As far as I'm concerned, it'll be large, whatever. But the point is that you are relaxing the limits, and I don't think it serves the town well, because what the town needs to do is create more housing that isn't on the McMansion scale. It's housing for people who at lower income levels, and I don't see that these changes do that. So I think that revising, realistically looking at what you want to accomplish and how do you tweak the zoning bylaws to move in that direction. I don't think the focus on site plan review at the upper limit is important. I think more important is to look at the lower limits where people are just adding small things onto their homes and streamlining that. I think that I have a couple of other issues. For instance, you're still retaining site plan review for ADUs. So you could build an enormous addition to your house, which is much larger than any ADU, and they get dinged. The ADUs get dinged because in there's special process, and the ADUs are exactly the type of units we want to build.
But
The ADUs are limited in size by the state.
Yes, but they have to go through site plan review. It's in the ADU bylaw.
That is an error. That's an error.
Remember, it was
Town meeting
amended on the
struck
floor.
that, and for some reason it's in there. We've been dealing with this.
Okay.
It is not correct.
Okay, so I take that back. I will remove.
I understand why you would think that. Because
It's in the current bylaws as we see it online.
It was late, but I do remember.
There's only two reasons that you can require any type of relief, with the exception of site plan review for going over. It's if you have more than one ADU, or your ADU is over 900 square feet.
But those are special.
Yeah.
Anywhere, it's special permits.
Yeah,
only.
so I take back my objection. I've been corrected.
No, it surprised me in the bylaw.
But you are correct. That's what it says.
So this gets me to the question of what is it that you're using the FAR as a proxy for? Because the definition of FAR is based upon your definition of square feet, and the current changes are inconsistent. So, for instance, the definition of basement is anything where half of it is above ground level, right? And you've removed cellar.
The other way.
No, sorry, I'll come back when you're finished.
It is, the definition of basement has not changed.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
When? Is it not in the...
Well, I'll let you finish, but even the current one?
The current one says
Not
that...
part of a building, partly underground,
So if you
having
have
more
a
than one
basement,
half of
if
its
you have a
entire wall
basement in
area.
Winchester, that was partially me. that's your first story. That's a story. So we don't have basements in Winchester. We have cellars.
Well, that is,
Partly underground.
so the definition of basement,
area above
So
the
is it
level.
now a story? If we leave it as basement, that's a story, but it's not in your gross floor area.
We just left it at basement is 50% below. If it's more than 50% below, it's a story.
It's a story, yeah.
That's it just simplifies it.
but that's not,
May I?
Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so, the record, my name is Lance Grensback. I live at 2 Crescent Road. I have, over many years, wandered around through our zoning bylaws, most of the time lost.
Just for yucks.
In 2008 or 9, we codified the bylaws, and during that process, we assembled with the ZBA, I think it was a 30 or 40-point list of things that need to be cured. So I think we got to 5 or 6 of them. I think you guys would be commended to taking the next half dozen or so like that. I'm here tonight because your chairman was disappointed that only one person showed up at the last hearing, and he thought I'd enjoy reading through these and come up.
My fault.
I have a couple simple changes that I'll get to later, but since we've launched into this definitions section, I found that to be, I thought it was very simple when I started on it, and then I got badly confused. So I'm going to present it to you as a problem to be fixed rather than a set of solutions. So I think the core part of it is you really want to revisit your definitions of basement and floor area, because I got badly lost trying to answer 3 questions. One, what is a basement? Okay. So the definition of a cellar, which you're going to be deleting, is that part of the building having less than 1/2 of the entire wall area above the adjoining ground level. All right. So my 1890s fieldstone basement qualifies as cellar today because only about 25% of the basement wall is above the ground level. Okay, that's good. However, the proposed definition of a basement, at least in the draft I read, says that part of the building partly underground, but having more than 1/2 of its entire wall area above the adjoining ground. Something was wrong there. So the measure's inverted. So tomorrow, if you pass this thing, I will no longer have a cellar, and because that's been deleted. But my basement will not be a basement under the new definition because only 25% of it is above grade. So if we've got a
So what is it?
definition.
Lance, we agree.
We have a definitional problem there.
Yep.
So then I went on to, okay, my basement has disappeared, but is a basement counted as a floor or a story? Now, in the current definition of cellar, it explicitly says a cellar shall not be counted as a floor or a story, but the new definition of basement doesn't say that at all. Okay. The explanatory note says that the intent is to clarify that basements are not counted as a floor, but the draft text does not say that, period. Okay, so something, okay. And unhelpfully, our bylaws do not define floor. I looked at that many years ago, and maybe in the building code or something, but it's not there. Floor area is there, but you search for F-L-O-R.
It's a story. Defined story.
It's defined as a story.
Yeah, but there's no definition of floor, okay? There is a definition of story, which is good. It says that portion of a building contained between any floor and floor or roof next above it. It then goes on to exclude a story, which says the lowest portion so contained if more than 1/2 of such proportion vertically is below the mean finished grade of the floor adjoining such busy. Okay, it sort of matches the definition of cellar on the below, but it doesn't match the proposed definition of basement on the above. So we've got a mismatch there. To compound it a little bit more entertainingly, cellar and basement measure wall area, but story talks about vertical measurement. So that's easy to square up.
That's what it is.
I know just what it is, but and if you follow the breadcrumbs, I think John's right, basement is not a story and can't be counted as a story. Okay, that's good, fine. So when it is a basement, you've counted as in calculating floor area. Current law says that garages, cellars, and attic areas are excluded from calculating, but again, the proposed language strikes out cellars, and the explanatory note says the basement definition already establishes that it does not count as a story, but that definition ain't there. It doesn't do that. It's just not physically there. I think that. So,
Raises the height of the house.
perhaps the. Well, so you've got
Sort of half
basement, cellar, floor going in different directions. You have the definition of a floor. There's no definite floor or basement. So, these are relatively easy, or not relatively easy. It would be a nuisance, but you're going to have to square those up. Otherwise, you'll go into this maze that I've been in before of somebody coming in and saying, the building inspector says X, the lawyer says Y, and the Z, and the contractor says Z, and it's a mess. And somewhere in the process, we also eliminated the issue of counting basements if used for business or dwelling purposes. I don't know whether that was intentional or not, but you do have in Winchester a number of places that have their basements fully furnished. Mine is not dry enough to do that, but it's basically a living space, a dwelling space, things like that. So the bottom line on those comments is I think you really want to revisit Section 10, the definitions, before you get into...
Just those two particular ones, basement and cellar.
There are some, there are some, if I may piggyback, because you stole most of what I said, but said it better. Currently, my cellar would count as square foot, because again, it doesn't fall into the current definition of basement if you take that away, which I think is weird. And also, I really have a problem with not counting a basement as a story. So I have a basement which is, say, 10 feet tall because I like big spaces, and it's 6 inches underground. To the visual eye, that is a story.
Yeah. It is a story.
But according to this, it's not. And so there is no limit.
But it doesn't have to be half the wall. It would have to be 5 feet.
But it is half the wall. Half the wall has to be above the grade. So it is.
It would be 5 feet above
Less
grade.
than half the
Less than half.
So it's not a basement. It's
No,
a floor.
more than half of its entire wall
More than one half.
is above the level. It has to have partly underground, so it's 6 inches underground, so it's partly underground, and more than one half of its entire wall area is above the level of adjoining ground. So that would classify as a basement.
Yes.
And that means it's not counted as a story.
Yeah, more than the.
Well, it doesn't say that it's
the more
not
than the
counted.
lowest
Just take
lowest
out the
portion to be
sentence that says it
contained.
is counted.
So
So
contained,
if it's
if
not
more than
mentioned,
half
what
of
is
It's not mentioned, what is it? Yeah.
The zoning board spent many hours on more than one case trying to sort out the meaning of those definitions in the bylaw, and just fixing that would be amazing.
I think there's a consistency issue here, and I don't know that the person who wrote this has actually looked at the words that have been crossed out and determined where they went. So the reason, when we were back there and when we did the site plan review, the conditions based on size of whatever, this how many square feet, we looked very closely at what that meant. Were we looking at living area? What did it mean to talk about square feet? And so it's a complex mess because the tendrils go everywhere, but you really have to say, are we talking about what I think personally is that if it is living area or possible living area, so if it's 7.5 feet or above, and you can convert it, because you could have an attic, let's say, which is unfinished but is 7.5 feet. So I think you should say, what do we mean by square feet? And the edits here don't present a real definition. So I don't know what you mean by FAR. I don't know what the proxy is what is it a proxy for? If you're talking about living area or useful area sort of as a commercial thing, I mean, what is it you're trying to regulate? I see that as not defined, so I don't know why you chose what you chose. And I think that's a key element that needs to be investigated.
This is a time problem. If you're looking at a house in Winchester like mine, built in the 1890s, the cellar was a coal pit, coal bin and a steam boiler, and it was a mess and just dirt floor. Those houses are not being built that way anymore. And so, but we've got an 1930s definition of what a basement and a floor. Well, I don't have a floor, I'm sorry. It's got a basement, a definition of a cellar. It doesn't match the definition of a basement, and I think that they need to be squared up. And for the issues that Diab was saying. You get into questions, somebody, they put a cellar in there and they fit it out as a game entertainment room with, $100,000 worth of equipment. That's not the kind of dirt floor basement I grew up with.
I think the intent was to control massing, right? If a basement is below grade and you allowed them to put it there, who cares what they use it for?
If it's, yeah.
So, and that was the intent of getting rid of the basement and the cellar. Because if you had a basement in Winchester, that was considered your story. You can only build 1.5 stories above that. That is the issue. That was the issue.
Right.
So the max height,
It's just the number of stories. You can only have 2.5 stories.
But 2.5 stories, but then you're sitting on top of a 5-foot wall. Does the max height become an issue, or never? It's too high.
No, I mean, so if you had a 40-foot basement,
Yeah.
a basketball court,
You would reach the height.
You would reach the height.
But I can show you houses in my neighborhood where the basement is essentially it's a third story. And the problem is that if you're on a slope and the basement's exposed to your neighbors across the way, it can look enormous. So if you're talking about, so that's where so I think the key question is how much of that thing is going to be above grade enough to look like a story. And that will give you the massing. So whether you call it a basement or a cellar, I don't care.
So this definition is, the way I read it, it's just wrong. The notion that a basement, this thing that holds the house up, if half of it is below the mean grade, it's not a story. And that's pretty much every town I've ever worked in. Like, they don't call, although they're changing, but that is a very long accepted notion that.
John, didn't you say you can't get a loan on
you can't. Well, the other thing is that if you're borrowing federally insured money,
you get problems. Yeah.
Well, I mean, problems, and they don't count that.
What a lot of towns will do is to regulate stories, particularly the lowest level, is if your finished first floor is more than 6 feet above natural average grade, existing natural average grade, that's a story.
That's interesting.
I'm going to go back.
And that's a building code definition, by the way.
I'm going to go back to the discussion on 3.5, and I tend to second Carrie's comments that I'm not quite sure that's jumping, the FAR is a simplification. I think that the part of the problem we're looking at, we saw it 20 years ago and didn't fix it, is that we're working with a set of definitions that were designed for the 1900s explanations, and what we really are worried about is massing and height. Don't really care what you do, if you have a basement finished, first floor, second floor, as long as the gross height and square footage, lot of coverage. So I would suggest that we need to think a little bit more about what we are regulating and what's important. And a lot of what's in here may, fall by the wayside, or unless it's needed for code or for other purposes.
You make an excellent point. For somebody who puts the nose in the set of bylaws every day, they're piecemealed. They're Band-Aids on something that affects something else.
over years? Yes.
Most of them were written for the 1910s, 20s, before zone, so it's tough.
Yep.
And that's not the only.
The chairman said it would only take you a few hours to read through this, and you owe me lunch.
A total rewrite rather than piecemealing something.
Yeah, we didn't.
Is needed at some point, whether it's now or. But
You're right about
We didn't get the money to do the full audit, but we probably have a little money to do like 3.5 correctly, or like.
So I didn't look at the definition of a basement. I mean, I didn't have a lot of time to look at this before this evening, but the intent was if your lowest level is more than 50% below grade, that doesn't count towards your GAF, and it really doesn't affect the massing of the house. When you go above that, that's where you start worrying about the massing.
The other piece that was interesting that I think Dia brought up earlier, is that one of the things that we're always looking to do in this town is kind of like also check the spiraling real estate cost. And the basement is not considered in the assessors. Do you know if that's correct? When the assessor assigns a value to your home, they're not counting the basement, they're counting above grade livable area.
I think they count it, they just count it a lesser value.
Yeah, no, they want.
No, the assessors are counting.
If you have a gym and a bar area.
Right, if it's finished, if it's unfinished.
But I think thinking about those in tandem is helpful because that should be part
It's
of.
a dirt floor, it's the
But
furnace.
those are no longer being built.
I understand that, but mine predates
I
yours.
have so many reasons why. It sounds like we're
But
all dealing with the same basis.
I used to have a
the
dirt
challenge
floor.
is, the challenge is to back up and say, people have said, oh, Winchester's a nice little suburban rural town. No, guys, it's part of a city, and the housing and the style has changed. We haven't brought our zoning up from the early 20s and 30s. The 1950s changes that were made were primarily to rezone the west side after World War II for housing. You know, the changes we did, we had grand schemes to do it all. In 2013, 18.
Damn it, why didn't you?
We got through the CBD and we got that buried us, and we kept saying, well, there's going to be a lot of corrections to that, which there have been, but
CBD is easy.
we've not really gone back and said,
Minute to learn, a lifetime to master.
what do we want to do with our neighborhoods, and how do we define the allowable? What are we worried about? And to the point of the site review, what do we really want to review to things? I haven't done
Some
it.
of that can be handled by slices of the zoning bylaw, big slices, that will be understood as dealing with particular kinds of issues.
But you have to understand when you take
do
a
that,
slice.
Pete. Well, I know.
When you
It
take a
affects-
slice,
it affects the others.
what other slices do you affect, and what more confusion do you create? So that's the danger
Yes,
of.
but you can do it. It can be
So
handled.
one of the things that we attempted to do when I was on the board was we actually went through town council and we said, we want you to tell us how much time it would do to look at the zoning bylaw and figure out what we could do to totally redo it. And we had that going, and then the select board fired them and pulled on a new team. So the
That's
point
what just happened.
So the point is that I think the board, I have a different opinion about, getting legal, how you get legal options. I think the town is paying lawyers. I think it's useful to go and tell the select board, hey, this is a huge affair. This is a huge amount. What can we do under the existing contract, which I don't know anything about.
Nothing. It's all pay per use.
It's hourly.
It's hourly.
Everything's hourly.
Okay, so
265,
so
275 for litigation stuff.
So, but somebody, I don't know how you do an RFP or something to come up with a cost. But I think this has to be done, and if you are going to go and, again, if someone changes the directions, they have to look like, so, this whole basement thing, part of the problem is so much is left unsaid.
Yeah.
And so you have to look for omissions to determine what's going to happen. So I would suggest any changes to the definitions be crystal clear about how they affect other things, and they have to be proactive in saying what they do affect. And so that's why, I agree with everyone around this table, our bylaws are horrible. They are a nightmare. But I think that I do have other comments about other parts that we haven't gotten to.
I would suggest that having your legal counsel go in and try to tweak the existing language is going to just make them cry, and you will too. Okay. I asked once, I made a mistake. I said, we don't have a floor definition of floor. Can we put one in? And the legal counsel at the time looked at me and just sank into the chair. He didn't start crying.
Was that Wade?
Yeah. But it's a real rat's nest when you begin to pull on these things. I think that you have plenty of extra time, but I would sit down with the planning board and the ZBA, and I would start with the internal question of looking at the past, current stuff in the past 3 to 5 years. What issues come up recurring, and what are the key things we're interested in dealing with, and begin to use that as a device to say, what should we look at our site plan review? Where's the dividing line to go into a special permit? Kind of things Carrie was worried about. And then, then you can begin, then I've got to structure a concept of what I should be doing. And then the question is, can I harvest material out of the existing stuff to, what I want to keep, what I want to do. It's to go in and try to cure it from the bottom up. You'll
I don't know how the GFA...
die of old age.
I don't know how the FARGA, it kind of snowballed to some degree. I think when we started this process, I had made a comment that I think we need to look at, again, the RG district. And it doesn't seem fair that a lot twice the size gets the same size house as half. So why don't we look at that? And it sort of ended there, and that wasn't much more than that I was looking for.
It's not the same kind of house. It's two houses.
It's two houses.
Share the same.
And then to piggyback on that is like if we let them build it, why in the heck are we making them go through site plan review to finish a basement or an attic? I mean, it's there.
It's an equity issue, yeah.
They should.
We had this conversation. We all agree. If it's already, the outside is done, what do I care what you do?
But our bylaw doesn't allow us to do that.
Yeah.
So that's all I was looking for, and it sort of snowballed into, let's look at GAF. I personally think 6,000, 5,000 is big enough. We don't have a lot of complaints. And then occasionally they go over, they go to the the zoning board, and
we have so many non-compliant lots, even in the whatever the 10,000 square foot, where you have 5,000 square foot lots.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the problems we've always had is the high proportion. I mean, we have like over 2,000 non-compliant lots out of 8,500 lots in town.
8,000 or 9,000.
And so all of those tiny lots, regardless of which district they're in, get hammered by the excess work that has to be done with all of the things they have to go through, because they have to go through a special permit, which is, the thing about a special permit is it can be denied. And there's always a real threat of that. And so, the site plan review can't be denied, but you can put conditions, right? Or at least that was my understanding. Who knows? So I think we really have to focus on, like Lance said, what are the pain points, and how do we get to them? And I recall the last time we tried to change a definition. I mean, and you may think these are strange. Look at the definition of a half story.
Yeah, don't ever do that on the floor of town meeting.
We brought what I thought was a very clear change, and we had people from both sides, those of us who wanted to help us and those of us who didn't like it, totally tank it. So we're stuck with this completely unusable definition of half story.
You want to go back when we said the zoning is terrible, it's complex, it's other things, so we should change it. So we had grand plans. We started with the CBD, and that took us forever. You guys have gone up Main Street. That was the second bite of the apple. The trick we were telling ourselves was to not make the same mistakes we made in the CBD going up there. The next jump was out to the neighborhoods, to the residential districts. And if you look at the residential districts as we got, they're really a bad mismatch to the type of housing that's in there. John Clemson, an architectural historian, put together a map for me at one point way back when, which he basically traced out each of the neighborhoods that were developed as, and for the most part, there was a developer coming in, and they did 50 houses in this area and 200 in this area, things like that. Yep. By and large, our zoning doesn't reflect that. So we were talking about, well, perhaps you could go back and look at contingent neighborhoods where the housing needs and the non-compliance levels were similar, and redefine that as a district and work your way, and then basically tailor the zoning rules to that new district. Taylor did that sort of thing on North Main Street. We had one big or two big zones, broke it down into, I can't remember how many they had.
7, I think.
4 or 5, something like that. And went through and tailored some of the stuff was fairly general, but others were, specific, those that abutted the neighborhood versus the rail line, things like that. You've got a precedent for doing it. It's, going in and telling people you're going to rezone their neighborhood is a third rail, but hey, good fun. But that's what you need to do. You know, if you need to basically say what's out there today, how much of it is non-conforming, what are the needs of that area, and begin to tweak the zoning there, and to
Yeah, I
say
mean,
what do
if
we
you're
really
talking
need
about a
for a
10,000
site
square
review.
foot multi-family home, that's really different.
No, it's a big chunk, but you know, the question is, do you bite it off piece at a time? But again,
Well, I
figure out what you need for the 21st century, rather than trying to.
We're just going to have we're just going to have a lot of 5,000 square foot lots.
Lance, I have a question for you.
I'm going to say we're going to have
I have a
smaller
question
lots.
for all of you. Is one thing that just because of your experience, I hear, you know, take a lot of this at one. You know, let's take a deep dive. Like, let's take a comprehensive view of the whole thing. How do you then bring that to town meeting?
In pieces, and you have to bring it.
Bring it.
Yeah, you won't be able to do it all at once, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, is that we've talked about how interconnected everything is, and you have to bring it to town meeting as separate chunks.
That's what I mean. I think we can do 6.4. I think they can
Yeah,
get
I
on
think
board
that's-
with like cut and fill.
Which
Like
I put the wrong glasses on. What is
I mean,
6.4?
it's changing. It's changing the 500 square foot 6%.
Oh, the grade stuff, yeah.
No one ever knew what the grade was anyway.
Yeah.
There was constant disagreements amongst everyone, so you know better than I. But and I was on the board that put that in because we were trying to reduce the amount of cut and fill.
Yeah.
You get disagreements among the professionals who are supposed to know.
I think,
Civil engineers all like,
yeah, nobody knows what it needs.
it shouldn't be that,
Agreed.
it should be something that can be understood.
I mean,
For the record, I had two simple suggestions. One had to deal with 6.4, it's regrading and constructing. So I read through that thing and I thought, geez, the terracing is great, sounds good, smart thing to do. And then I got to the section at the end that said performance standards. And I couldn't for 15 or 20 minutes understand why I had performance standards having gone through all this nice terracing standards. And it finally dawned on me that those were for general grades. So one of the things, simple reorganization, I would suggest you change the title of the thing to say, instead of saying terracing and regrading, say regrading first and then terracing, and shuffle the things around, and basically relabel your performance standards as your regrading section.
I think
That's the
David
general.
suggested calling them requirements instead of performance standards.
Yeah.
But it was very confusing.
Very nerdy, but
Yeah.
when it comes to making it easier for everybody, the clarity of the words and the consistency of them between paragraphs makes a huge difference. And you wouldn't think, but I'm wrong, that town meeting would have much
Well,
trouble.
but I wanted to see what
debated commas and
I wanted to see what you were doing with grading, which is the general and more frequent case, and then the terracing is the more specific, because it's so costly, people don't do it. That's fine. Just the order of it was terribly confusing. I mean, okay. The other one in procedures, and this is a real minor one. Section 943 gives the appeals clerk 5 working days to distribute copies of the special permits document, okay? However, section 995, review by other boards, the poor clerk only gets 3 days. And it says Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays excluded, distribute copies. I think in fairness, you might want to give the clerk, unless there's a ZBA reason, everybody give 5 days. You've adopted, I think, if I read it correctly, the 65 days to hearing and 90 days to decision standard. So you might want to give the clerk 5 days. All right, that's the last of the trivia.
I have one trivia and another one, and that is, and I forgot where I wrote it down. In one of the places where you were very deliberately changed ZBA to SPGA,
Yes.
you kept ZBA in one of the paragraphs, and I'm afraid I can't.
6443.
Yeah, Brian caught that.
Okay, great. The other point I want to make is there is language about site plan review and residential lots abutting light industrial. And the people who live next to the light industrial are forced to live with a lot of noise, lights, vermin, depending upon what goes into the trash cans over on the other side. I think it's important because I don't know any other way of bringing their needs into the discussion for mitigation. So I think again, their comments are advisory to the SPGA, but I think there has to be a venue for that to happen, and it has to be part of the process which a site plan review would, I think, accommodate.
That's my biggest area.
And so one of the things that one of the former versions of this board teed up and then wasn't able to finish was the revisiting of the zoning for the light industrial.
I'm working on it, DM.
I know.
We do things and we're all.
Having been on this board, I understand there are priorities, but, I mean, that was one big chunk, and one of the things we really wanted to look at was that interface.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, you have to look at what does reducing site plan review actually do to improve investment and development of light industrial. It's, I think, there were a lot of things that we could look at. For instance, the size of the parking lots that are required, the minimum size of the lots.
Yeah,
they're all really huge. So I think looking at the fundamental thing that prevents redevelopment is what's inside of that area, not the fact that the neighbors are preventing development. And so I would refocus your attention on how do we solve the big problems that prevent it. Keeping the neighbors out of the conversation, I don't think is good. And I have a special heart for that area because I live very near it, and I know that the people there felt ignored for decades. And when we started up the first set, where we went out and talked to them, and we got the, what is the Metropolitan Area Council?
Yeah, MAPC, you're right.
Yeah, I wasn't going to call them the MPC. I wasn't calling them.
Metropolitan Area Planning Council.
Yeah, and so we got them to look at that, and those people were involved and ready to go, and it's been sitting fallow for years. Fallow means it's getting better because it'll be, that's why you keep things fallow, right? It improves. But I think it's really important to keep them in the loop and identify the big things. Yeah. So that was my last minor thing.
Thank you.
And I will shut up.
Thank you.
So aren't you glad you invited public comment?
No. But I'm.
We need this. If we were going to go to town meeting, we were going to be giving public comment there too. So let's know.
Yeah, so
I had a line in
basic
my
rule of
prepared
town meeting.
saying that I would advocate against this.
Basic rule of
That's why we need.
That's kind of where I'm leaning.
Yeah, the basic rule of town meeting, which I think most of you have encountered, is that prepare absolutely everything excellently, go to town meeting and be blasted out of the water because you didn't do a good job. Come back the second time with pretty much the same material and everybody say, oh, okay, we've seen this before.
Seems fine.
But
Did time it with something more controversial?
Gotta hope that your articles heard it. 10,
So
15.
I think one thing you folks should do is consider a red team, blue team approach to what you're doing, which is where you have a bunch of people tear it apart.
Yeah.
And then it gets fixed.
That's why.
And then you resubmit it and it gets torn apart before you get to town meeting. And I realize there isn't a lot of time.
Yeah, I'm hearing spring right now.
Yeah, I just know that the things you think you prepared for are not the things that'll come up.
Yeah, you're right.
Especially
Thank you,
when it comes to zoning.
If we,
Is there a reason that the FAR kicks it directly to special permit and doesn't kick it to site plan?
I thought we couldn't use site plan to review single-family homes.
We do now. We can. There's no law against it. It's weird.
But
that seems to be a sticking point for everyone.
I may be wrong, but I think he wrote this trying to eliminate residential homes.
He is.
Yes, that was the intention.
Point,
That's the
but
point.
that seems to
That
be.
was the mission,
That was the mission.
the way we thought we wanted it, but,
Carrie's raising some good points, and I'm thinking, I'm just to draw the discussion to an end. I'm thinking that we
have to change out of gross area, though. That isn't really an option. Don't we have to do that?
Do we have to change it for fall and we need a plan? Like, I don't know if we're are just flipping it to FAR. I don't know if it would pass. And I don't know if we're ready. Like, I think we just need more time to sort of think over what the FAR is correct for each of the districts,
Yeah.
and sort of how does that work with the open area requirement? Do we need to move the setbacks? Does one district get a higher FAR?
This proposal is not ready.
Yeah,
So
I'm not
that's,
saying it
that's,
is.
so.
I'm just trying
needs to be worked on more.
get
You
it.
guys need some GIS.
Amy, I think that's the big thing, is that yes, we do need to change it, but we're not prepared to change it yet.
You don't want to make it, you don't want to make it worse.
So like what happens if we
Well,
don't
the status quo stays the same. If we're not in compliance, and now we just continue to not be in compliance.
So there's nothing here that.
There's
There's one thing we've learned is that we're not usually the
challenge.
worst community in
Yeah,
Massachusetts.
Yes.
If somebody challenges us, that's the only risk.
In the next 6 months.
It also feels like there's a huge void between the concerns we're trying to address from a brand new construction standpoint, massing, height, what's a basement, and I want to renovate my cellar into a basement, or I want to finish my attic to accommodate my nanny or my mom or something, but not make it a full-on ADU. Like, I think we have two very different thought processes around internal renovation or even a minor addition to a home that already has a footprint and building a brand new home. Those are two very different things, and probably if we're really talking about starting over, you have different metrics for different types of projects. There's a big difference between an FAR of 0.5 and a 10,000. You have a 20,000 square foot lot, a 0.5 FAR, and you're building from the ground up. You could put 10,000 square foot house there, or you're taking. Somebody just wants to finish their basement in that district, and it's kicking them over. That's something already exists. We care what's in a house that exists already, and I'm not saying that that's what we take to town meeting, because I can't even imagine what that would look like. But if you have the tables, Table A, existing structure, Table B, new construction, or FAR, changes if you have 2 units, or 4 units, or 6 units. Again, what do we care about what's on the inside? Just things to think about if we're actually going to attack the entire bylaw and actually address the bigger picture issue of housing.
What do you really care about? I care about massing. I care about consistent use. I care about impacts on the environment and the neighbors and
Absolutely.
Public safety or something. At this point, I'm not sure that, again, the 1890s basement is relevant to us. If somebody wants to put a man cave in the basement, let's assess it. We need the money. Let's do it. I don't really care what's inside as long as it's a residential conforming
I
use.
think what we have going for us is that.
We're again, a set of bylaws that are set back in the 1900s, and we're not, what do we really want? And do you modify that to different districts and different uses? Back to the earlier question about how do you pay for that? I wouldn't shy away from that. We raised somewhere in the range of $300,000 to do the initial work on the CBD overhaul. We first started with, I think, 40 or 50,000 from town meeting, but we basically set about searching for groups that might subsidize this kind of work. And since most towns are smart enough not to get into this kind of a rat things, there are people out there who will say, yeah, I'd like to have a model for going ahead and do this. I mean, there was a lot of go around about form-based zoning about 15 or 20 years ago, which is kind of envelope stuff. But there are people willing to say, we'd like you to be the guinea, we'll pay for you to be the guinea pig, because then we can point to Winchester and say, oh, I won't pay you for it, but I will adopt their zoning. So the question of, can you be able to look at a top down in the 21st century, what zoning and residential district should be, and how do you move it forward? So there might be money out there to chase it down.
I think
it surprised us when we chased, everybody said, oh, you got no money, you get $20,000 a year to do professional work in the board budget. Yeah.
It would be great to solve this, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a problem. I mean, I issue 1,200, 1,300 permits a year. The zoning board sees 1 to 2 a month. 1% of permits that are coming in require this. For me,
So what takes the most work off you? Like, what's I know the grade has been weighing on you for a while, so if we tackle just 6 points, like, is there something in here where you're like, please get this done as soon as possible?
well, I think for you, we could probably eliminate 3 or 4 of those by just fixing 3-point. When you do away
Okay,
the nonconformity,
okay. So that helps.
It's a by right project. You can do it.
And that sentence does, like,
If the lot width is fixed, and I have the ability to issue a permit on a lot that does not have lot width, that's going to eliminate another big portion of it.
then
So
that
we got
brings us in
projects right
compliance with
now.
recent legislation, so those are sellable.
Those are easy.
Can you fix the one where the lot width is different from the lot frontage?
That's the one that I'm talking about.
Because we tried to.
But it's not
We
only
brought that up.
It's
We
it's not
tried to
only
change that at town
Well,
meeting.
So 100, 120.
That was
I mean,
your-
it helps
I
these.
maintain that was
that
your-
pie shape, but if you have that pie shape,
Yeah, we were.
But I issued a permit the other day for a house in the flats.
Please,
That
yeah.
80 became an issue. So you needed 80 frontage, 80 lot width. In the back of the house, they had 79.
There's always one.
So they had to bring the second floor addition back. They didn't want to go. They didn't want to waste the time. They brought the back addition back 3 feet, so that it met the 80, and I issued a permit by right.
Do you think when that lot was
That happened to me. I had to move something by 2 feet.
2 feet. It's
sort of,
but if I could issue with
Like
lot
somebody
width,
helped out and they lost it.
and I can make a determination that that is not going to be more detrimental to the neighborhood,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
could have a permit.
I would argue that this is a big issue, not because there aren't 1,000 things landing on your desk a day, but Winchester's entire income depends on property taxes.
Yeah.
And you basically want to make it relatively straightforward and easy for people to invest in the
Yeah.
quality of their houses. You want to do that within some urban design sense of what's acceptable. But you want them to put money into it, because then the assessments go up and we get property tax revenue, and that funds our schools, which keeps our property tax values up, which, I've said it's this wonderful cycle.
Thank you.
It is in the long term
And
important.
building permit fees are not too shabby.
Should be either. And we want plenty of those, but
Right.
I mean, there is a level of, we need the money, and
Right.
making the process so that it is relatively easy within limits to invest in your property, and it doesn't cause headaches. This board certainly must have gone through, I remember going through stuff in the ZBA has, where you went weeks and weeks and weeks arguing about whether 2 buildings joined by a 2x4 or a duplex.
I think that's like.
Yeah. They won't go away, but
Of the small number of permits that are a problem, they take a lot of time.
Yes.
It may only be this 1%, but as you say, you could spend a certain amount of time on something that.
And those are the ones that get written up in the papers, and people say, oh, I wanted
what
to add a
papers
deck
then?
on my house,
We
and
have
it took me
papers?
2 years. You want to. It's important to clean up, to get it in the 21st century. It's important because you need the money, and it's important because you want to have a sane life on the board.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you're. Diab and I are sitting there saying, "Oh."
So I have a few caveats to Lance's otherwise good description. One is that if we look at the issues which face more people, it's not the large lots. It's the small non-compliant lots. And as much as Lance says we should write our bylaws for the future, we have to contend with a lot of houses which are non-compliant and which will be so for until they're all demolished. I don't think that building new homes is necessary, but we will not achieve an increase in a net increase to the town if we build large homes which have more children in it. This is maybe unpopular, but a home with a child costs the town money. A home without a child is a net positive revenue to the town. I have nothing against kids. I've paid taxes in this town for other people's kids to go to school. It's great. But I think that we need to focus, we don't, that part's essentially out of our control unless you want to get rid of single-family zoning, which the state might do already.
Right.
But if we're looking at the problems which hit the most people, it's not the large lots, it's the small lots.
Right.
The large lots are tear downs and rebuilds. We're not increasing housing. We may be increasing property values, dependent upon how many children have been going in there and go to our schools.
Jimmy Johnson beat me up for years on this issue, and I think there's a counter-argument that economists make, is that adding children to a community is not a marginal cost analysis. It's not, it adds another 2,000. It is a public good. It's a community investment that you're investing in making sure your doctors and lawyers 20 or 30 years from now are actually well educated.
I completely agree.
To basically look at housing and say, I don't want to do 3-bedroom housing because somebody might have an extra kid, that argument doesn't pan out at the macroeconomic level. You really want to basically be saying, am I getting enough money to support a good school system? That's the critical piece of it. So, it's a marginal cost.
I would say that when town meeting looks at its budget every year and has to make cuts because it doesn't have the income, it's a different. I agree with you completely, Lance. I think it's for the greater good. We need good schools, and I'm fully in support of them. But this town does face economic realities, which are rising costs and not enough income to cover it. So I don't think this board can fix that unless you decide to rezone everything so that we get a lot more units, because that's the only way you're going to get a lot more money. Yeah. When we looked at commercialization, we just don't have the land, to increase. This was, in 2015, 16, 17, I forget when, to increase the percentage of revenue from the commercial. We needed another 300,000 square feet of commercial space. That is a difficult thing. This town made a decision 60 years ago to go residential, and we're living with that decision. So
no, it made that decision.
Well, it was long.
In the 1950s when it split from Woburn because these Congregationalists didn't like going to Woburn Center with those Congregationalists.
We also took out half of light industrial and created an enormous subdivision up there. Yeah. So it's just a long history, but I said it was this.
I can make an argument for taking whatever we can find for legal support and money in Brian's remaining breath on this earth and just making a run at getting 3.5 through fall.
We could do just the changes that were proposed by community scale. We could dig in at a public hearing in 2 weeks to what I put forward and attack it and see what's worth doing.
It'll either pass or it'll get shredded, and you'll be like, okay, thank you for the feedback.
I would rather have it get passed or bring it to spring. I'd rather not have it get shredded.
But maybe if that is sort of it's a good point that the variances create the biggest headaches and we have the most of them. And so if we get that section right, how much does that get off your desk? A decent amount, right?
I also think it's a good image for the planning board to be bringing changes that are fairly straightforward before town meeting.
Well, 3.5, I don't know if it'll be straightforward.
Because it builds a pattern of, we're going to see some that make sense. I got them, I'll vote for it. And that is positive because people generally say, the planning board, ZBA, just getting in the way of development. And this sends a message that we're proactively.
That's half of town meeting would like us to get in the way of development, and the other half.
That's very true.
So I think that's the problem.
I don't think it divides that evenly. It's 2020, 2020, 2020.
Yeah, probably, but
it is.
But that's a limited set. In terms of sort of legal support for it, it's hot off the press because there have been changes to it that we have to accommodate to. That might be the one that we should. You've been grinding away for. Let's give it some daylight, maybe.
Before the oxygen is completely gone from this room, I'm maybe open a window, but I think we need to decide what we're going to do with what we got in front of us. What I'm hearing is conflicting ideas for 3.5, that whole section, not only what Brian's doing, but what they're suggesting. I'm hearing that we could go forward with the new section 6.4. I'm hearing that in section 9, with the exception of 9.5.1 applicability, we could probably go forward with all of that. Am I hearing, is that, no? No? Okay.
I think that would be, I can't think of a word that doesn't involve swears, difficult on town meeting floor.
The entire 9.5?
I think 9.5,
needs to
that's
be
what I'm
set
saying. I'm
aside?
saying, like, we can't just be like, I think it's all fine, let's just go forward with it. I think we should pick a couple, or the thing that I got stalled out on is how many of the definitions are wrapped up in the half of the definition section is tied to 6.4.
Okay, let me try to, a different, what?
But not the FAR.
What can we bring to fall town meeting? What do you think we're ready to bring to town meeting?
Talking out loud, so I'm not going to necessarily die on this. This is one hill I may not die on.
I'm not asking you to.
But maybe we think about trying to just get 3.5 in shape and doing 3.5 and 6.4.
Yeah, I think
I'm sorry,
that's
3.5 and 6.4.
6.4 and 3.5 sounds like we could
It's
do.
meaty. It's a lot of stuff. You're gonna be
I
tired.
understand that, but
Taylor's going to be
and
like,
then everything else goes on for the spring, maybe, and we can give it some more thought.
That's
that's probably our best.
Let me just recommend one thing for you, which is consider 3552, which is mentioned as 3551 in the article. So that's lot width combined with 411. So those are both regarding lot width.
I was just going to say that.
That's a lot width issue. That would be one article. 6.4 as a possible another article. And then a third article for just 943 and 954, which are changing the requirements of
Yeah.
reducing the requirement for how many submissions.
Yes.
So if we adopt 6.4,
The other 20 copies is obnoxious.
it's terracing.
I think
does that still require site plan review?
So there would have to be one additional change, which would be strike it from 951, strike 7 from 951. If 6.4 was
That would have to go away.
right.
that would replace that.
If we have both,
That's easily
It's
packaged.
conflicts.
I mean, I feel like there was a ripple effect. I don't think we presented every single scratch mark when we did, like 8.2 affected 4 different sections because it affected all these tables, and I don't think we presented them each as a separate article. I think it was like a cascading.
In 6.4, are we making any, does it matter if it's in the front, side, back?
Not as it's written.
Not as it's written, but what was the intent? Just you do what you want in the back, and the front we would want to consider.
No, I mean, I take this as treating the whole lot the same way.
That's fine.
Oh, I do it too.
That's fine.
I mean, the back is somebody's view.
Oh,
Some of them back up to each
On
other.
the west side, I mean, that's every lot could be flattened to some degree. I mean, they're all on pretty significant slopes, so you're going to have a lot in front. So.
Jack's gonna walk out the door, never see him again.
heavy as the head.
Just try and move along here.
Bless your heart. We don't meet that often.
The 351,
I'm just concerned
where they
about.
define who's SPGA, keep that change? Is that
I think we
it's on
wait.
page 9 of the
I think we
packet?
just sort of like let Brian off
All of
leash
3.5.
Do you
with
want
this whole thing there and get in touch with Karis and see what we can hammer
want
out?
me to? So that's what the question would be. In the packet is a.
Yeah, your
It's
version.
got a number of changes to try to clarify some issues. Whether or not we want to start trying to go with that.
That's what I think we try to do a substantial update to 3.5.
All of
So
3.5.
I love your faith in me. I guess if we're only going to try to just get things that we know we can get through town meeting this
Well, to
fall.
be clear, have to have access to phone a friend. Like legal would have to be able to, which might be our stopping point.
I'm wondering if we would rather make small changes to 3.5, the small, discrete, like dart ones to fix 3 things,
The one that they suggest.
something like that.
The lot width
And say at the time, there are other issues in here that we think are worth fixing too, but this is the most important thing to fix now.
Yeah.
With the recent changes to variances, is your rewrite, does that consider those?
Can we run it all by, do we have the money to hire a land use attorney? We don't.
Well, sure.
But
And you
the
can't do
The
anything
variance criteria is, I don't think anybody truly understands it yet.
Nothing in here says what the criteria is. It just says you need a variance for essentially the same reasons you need a variance now. It doesn't say then now what they have to do to decide whether they get that variance granted, which is a much lower bar. So in my mind, it shouldn't say anything about what you need.
Does it follow 48? It tries.
Yeah.
Because I painfully watched 2021 when they were trying to make some changes to 3.5, and 3.5 hours later,
Okay.
it died on 4.
And that's why I'm just wondering if
Yeah.
I think
if
small changes.
the dartboard small changes,
Yeah.
but I mean we're still going to have issues that maybe you never have. For instance, right now we have an issue that 3.52 actually, if you read it the same way we read other things, if you wanted to change from a non-conforming use to a conforming use, you'd need a special permit. Even because it says right now, the Board of Appeals may grant a special permit to change a non-conforming use in accordance with this section if it determines such a change or extension shall not be substantially more detrimental to the existing non-conforming than the existing non-conforming use to the neighborhood. It doesn't say anything there. Like if you, the same way the other one does, it doesn't say anything about changing to a conforming use, doesn't need anything. And now, obviously it shouldn't.
How could you change from a
So you currently have a house that has a blacksmith in it. And you want to just turn it to just a house, residence. That would be switching from a non-conforming use to a conforming use. And the same way it reads going from a non-conforming to a conforming structure, this actually reads that you would need a special permit. So I made a lot of little changes like that because I could see where we might be someday.
That's a simple.
Yeah, it's another simple line.
If it changes to a conforming use, then you don't need a special
change to a
permit.
conforming use shall not require a special permit.
Right. So that's 3 things in 3.
Yeah.
That could.
I mean, we could sit here and name the people that will stir the pot on the floor of town meeting. You could have them all over.
Those are pretty minor, though.
Yeah.
I think. And it just makes it eliminates if the intent is to help people get through the process, that accomplishes that.
So maybe we do the tight changes for 3.5 and all of 6.4, which will be a poop show because there's a lot in 6.4.
And I could go back to 3.5 and try to make it much tighter of just the limited. I mean, because the other things, currently we have 3.53 is for non-conforming structures, and 3.55 is for non-conforming single and duplex residential structures. So currently, they both apply to a single. So one of the things I tried to do is make one section for non-single family and duplex, non-single family or duplex, and the other one for single family and duplex, so that you don't have to look and say, well, both of these have to apply if it's a single family. So, I mean, there's just, I think that's how we said it's a mess because these things have been built up over the years. And
I think that section may have been changed
was it
because, well, check.
Yes.
So if your protection goes with the primary structure, not the accessory structure. So you can make the primary structure larger as long as it's conforming. But you cannot add a new non-conformity. So that's what happens with non-conforming houses that want to put a garage. That's a variance. because you are increasing the conformity on that lot. However, if you attach that garage to the house, you can do it, as long as it meets setbacks. Because
For the house, yeah. it's
the
part of-
house gets the advantage of getting, it gives you the special permit, where the accessory structure does not. And there was a court case that changed that about 10 years ago.
So should we just go through the red lines and say yes or no?
This is where I'd like to go.
Pursue or to
come away
table
from
it.
tonight so we can send something to the town council.
I need to,
No, I'm saying what I'm hearing, I'll try it again, is we will go with the red line version on 3.5 and 4.1 and 4.2, okay? We will go forward with,
Not 4-2.
Not 4-2.
not 4.2,
4-2
okay.
is just pushed off with applicability.
Okay, so 4.1,
So 3.5.1, defining the SPGA.
yeah. 3.573,
3.551, which adds lot width.
yeah, okay.
355.
Right.
2. It's changed
It
to
is
2.
2. Okay, yes.
Lot width.
3.552.
Yeah, take it out of 1, put it in 2.
Yep. 3.573
Yeah,
just adds the sentence, if the resulting lot would result in a conforming structure, no special permit is necessary.
Incorrect Board of
And
Appeals.
if you want to go
does
back and change the use,
yeah.
then 4.11.
411, yes. The 120 to 100 for
Okay,
the
and then-
frontage.
then-
We also need to change everywhere in 3.5, everywhere.
Yeah.
Needs to go from Board of Appeals to SPGA.
Yeah.
It's written like 12 different places in
Yes.
this.
It has to, like, when you're making this decision, if you're going to make any, I think if you're going to make any changes to 3.5, you have to review all of 3.5. Doesn't mean you're making changes to all of it.
Right.
It just means that if you're going to be,
and you have to
if you're going to be
make sure it
voting
doesn't affect
to change
another.
an article, to
You know,
change a
another
section
section.
right now, you should vote to change the whole section instead of just a subsection of it.
So like if,
Or
So you're-
just
change
throw
the
it-
whole section, you're bringing Brian's draft into it, or you're saying,
Because I think we've established that mine is just, I'm not ready for some of the
too much
things.
enchilada.
It's too much enchilada. We're just
2
gonna-
to 3 years.
We started this
All of
adventure
3.5.
in April, and now we're like
But there's not-
we're right under the gun. We've got to get this to council. We can't delay this vote tonight on what we're going to proceed with. We can't postpone it
I know,
anymore.
I'm just asking, when you say we need to review we're just pointing out, based on our review of 3.5, these are the changes we would make. What are we
Well,
missing?
the thing is, because as Brian said, the SPGA, it's more, here, in here, they note it's 351, but it's in other parts of 3.5.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the whole section needs to be,
But materially, besides the correction of Board of Appeals to SPGA, the only other edits we're making are to the aforementioned sections, right? Or you're saying we should read the whole thing over, which I think sends us down Brian's rabbit hole.
Then we're starting all over again, as far as I'm concerned.
so why do you not want to continue? Because I can just redline all of this and give it back to you.
We can continue it to, we don't need everybody, if I'm missing August 21st, we could do a special quick vote.
18th.
Whatever. We'll see how far we go into the woods.
Yeah,
You may
you
never
may be
see
back.
me again. It'll be fine. But we could hold a special, if we get it sort of corrected, we could do like a 5-minute Friday morning meeting. Those would
Yeah,
never
we
be
could do
5
that.
minutes.
I'm leaving
Like next
Saturday,
week
so
or
that would work.
something.
No.
Oh, yeah, it's yours.
And your vote to bring it to town meeting to town council is pretty performative. Because it needs to come back to you after town council
I
anyway.
understand that, okay. But what I want is some motions tonight as to what we're sending off to town council.
Does that need to be a motion or just a group decision?
I think it needs to be a motion, but I'm welcome to stand corrected. But I guess then ostensibly September 8th, we can have the final public hearing on this based on what the town councilor gives us back. And because she's going to give us the warrant language,
What's the date for that, you said?
September 8th.
Yep.
And we're going to impose a time limit on her. Yeah. Right? Deadline.
For a month.
Yeah, we're going to give her a month. That's why I want to make some action tonight. It's not
Yeah,
postpone
no,
it
I
till the
think
18th.
we agree, red line 3.5, make those material changes and all edits to correct Board of Appeals to SPGA, and then clean up 6.4 as much as she wants to.
And that's it.
So 6.4 will lead to
The width.
You
definitions
think
in
the
10.
120 to 100 will be an easy sell on the floor?
Yes.
No.
It failed once.
No, there's not. That's impossible. Wait, minimum. No, that didn't.
it's
That's
nice
not
to
the
be
thing
positive.
that failed.
No, something like that.
411 failed.
Yeah, that's.
That
I will
was
tell
a
you something.
marketing
That has been in the bylaws
I
since
on that.
I agree,
1938.
Terry. That's got to be a marketing. I bet we can market that.
This is not. This is RDA minimum 100. Yes, so that's different than the other issue. The other issue affected the contour of the neighborhood. This is.
That is different. So in the RDA, we have lot frontage, lot width. You have to meet both.
Mm-hmm.
All the other districts have one.
So Jack, what I have for you is
Smaller. So you'd think that would be.
various edits 3.5,
Yeah.
4.11, 6.4, 943, 954, and 995.
943.
Why did I write down 995?
Let me look at this. 943.
995 isn't even a.
Okay, yeah.
943, the procedure is just taking out the paperwork filing
And
requirement.
then what
Yes,
was,
I think that will
I
be
think
fine.
that should
and
be
what's the
fair.
next one?
Procedural things, yeah.
Oh, the procedural stuff, right. The 945, okay, yeah, good. Then the rest of 95 we'll leave alone for the time being.
You are going to hear it on the rooftop equipment. Just FYI,
What's that?
you're going to hear it on the rooftop equipment.
Okay.
I don't think that's going to.
No, 945 is not being suggested. 943 and 954.
Oh, okay. No, 943 and 954.
Procedures.
No, 945.
945.
Not 945.
Not
I am
9.
suggesting 943,
943.
Oh, I see. Okay,
954.
The 20
954.
copies.
No, that's the
in
rooftop
electric-
equipment.
Yeah, no,
945. Both 954 and 945 both have rooftop equipment.
954 is talking about reduction of the number of copies that need to
One
be
of
turned
them
in.
is in 6.4.
Okay, 943 changes to 9.3 procedures.
Yep.
That's so we don't need 18 copies of
Yep.
submissions
We're
anymore.
all on board with that one.
Okay,
Next.
954
954.
is 20 copies.
Yep.
There's a second red line in 954, striking rooftop equipment renderings in the application.
Okay, well then we just won't add that.
Okay.
You can, I'm just saying, I think after, we're going to hear it on that one.
You said we're going to hear about
So
it.
you think people want that stricken?
Nope.
Then let's not strike it.
Exactly. That's why I'm just pointing out that that's the other red line in that section, so I didn't know
Okay.
if you were just adopting the changes.
Then the additional changes to 9.5 we don't touch this time around.
We can, we just need to do more work around it. We need to
That's
hear
what I'm
what people
saying, yeah,
think.
we'll do more work. And then section 10, that definition is the only,
I think we could put a threshold, like we don't need to see rooftop equipment beyond the size of an average
what
air
about
conditioner. I have no idea.
the definitions, are we keeping cellar?
Okay, so definitions, we're going to have to do the entire section relevant to 6.4.
That's so.
Cellar and basement. So that's a lot.
You don't need, you got.
But I kind of think we just use those definitions. There's a whole section of them that are relevant to.
Excavation, existing grade, exposed height, fill, horizontal offset,
Based on this evening as a
regrade,
little test
retaining
bubble,
wall. Yep.
we wait on basement.
Well, a lot of
Sports
what
court
was,
is uncontroversial.
this was
That's it.
this was a misprint. They didn't mean to say above. They meant to say below.
They meant to say below.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a lot of time
Yeah.
on. I can't tell you how
Right.
I read right past that because
Well,
it's like I know what this
half, though,
says.
so-
It's below. It's like it always says below.
Right. It's a basement. Right.
Yeah, it's below
So the word
midpoint.
above in the planning board package is
shouldn't.
not how it's written in the bylaw itself. Is that
But
the
it
thing?
could still, his point was you could
Yeah,
have,
yeah, I just-
you could have a 10-foot wall, 5 feet is above
Yes,
grade.
yes.
His point was the 5 feet that ends up above grade.
No, it's
Just the
not-
massing.
It's no, because it's the grade. It's the average grade. where
Average
it
grade.
sits.
I know, but that's where they were coming from. They were coming from like half of the wall can be visible, and that increases the massing. That's their whole concern.
The
is
issue
massing.
is that if half of it's above, it's a story. That it's not, whether it's a basement, whether, I think site plan review says count the basement. Our bylaws say don't count the basement. So if you strike, count the basement from site plan review and go back to
Yeah. So
basement.
that through line
that-
needing to be able
that
to be like,
works. At
we
least
got rid
temporarily.
of you know, the site plan review, we did it because of this, we corrected it with this, and then we got rid of this definition. That through line makes sense, so I don't think we touch basement until we're ready to defend it.
But his point about 6 inches below and as much as you want above, it's opposite.
It's opposite.
It's like you can go
That's-
way down,
Right.
but you can't pop up very much at all.
That meets the definition of a basement,
Right.
Now,
And this is just
not
wrong.
a cell.
Right, yeah.
And again, we don't have basements. We have, if you have a basement, you have first story.
Yeah, I was going to say,
You can just do it.
I think the sentiment, we don't need a motion. The sentiment of the board has been made clear. Is that sufficient? And that Taylor will prepare all this and pass it on to our town council. And we will revisit all this on September 8th, decide whether or not we're going to go to town meeting with it.
I support this.
Thank you.
Great.
We have a little more business to do here. Thank you for coming.
See you, Tal.
I don't think you like your Tuesday nights.
You used to.
Well, I figured that this would turn into what it turns into, so.
Good to have you. Thank you.
So handy to have you.
As demonstrated by the fine package of information and materials that our town planner provided us tonight, it seems fitting that we share with the home audience on WinCam what we think of Taylor as a employee. And I will not read the whole thing, but we compiled this form that is provided by the Human Resources Department, and rating expectations and meeting prior year's goals and all that. The five of us were very consistent in our statements, and very high approval for Taylor. Much appreciation for his good work. Without reading the whole thing, I think it would suffice to read the concluding remarks, the summary drawn from the individual commentaries from 5 different board members, and I will read them aloud for the record. Taylor's strengths include knowledgeable, organized, and professional, always comes prepared. Clear, respectful communicator, responsive via email, in one-on-one meetings and in public meetings. He is consistently accessible. He's collaborative. He works well with others, even when opinions differ. He effectively manages long-term projects, such as this project that we are dealing with tonight, alongside the complex development reviews that he deals with every day. He's earned the respect of the board members, past and present, the town staff, townspeople, and many applicants. He shows continual personal and professional growth and holds himself to a very high standard. And he's willing to admit his fault, but he also stands firm when he believes he's right. The one growth area which there was mentioned a few times was that we would like to hear his voice more often brought to the table. His advocacy or strong recommendations for various positions that he feels strongly about, or he thinks we should feel strongly about. We welcome his input, and I think we'd like to hear more of it. Overall, Taylor's a pleasure to work with always. His commitment to Winchester and his professionalism have been key factors in many individual members' decision to continue serving on this board. So, any further comments from the board members?
I agree with everything that's in there. I just want to say thank you for the outstanding work, and look forward to working with you in the coming years. So thank you.
Concur.
It is never visible when you are barely tolerating us, and I think that's really
Ain't that the truth? I should have mentioned that. He hides it well.
He just, it's a great job of just looking down at his laptop a little closer.
Yeah. Quietly seething.
mentally checking out.
Adjust the screen.
So before we leave, I have to sign this, and then you sign it, and you take it to to Mike.
Okay. Would you like a motion to accept this?
Oh, thank you. That would be a good motion to have.
I move that we accept the performance evaluation for the town planner, Taylor Herman.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very
And
much.
you also, we need feedback on the proposed goals in here.
Oh, yes, thank you. Yes. We, sorry, mine is assumed. It's 9:30, past my bedtime. Yes, we proposed, I think, 6 goals here for you, as you asked. We would like your thoughts on them. If you think they're all garbage, that's okay. I don't think you will, but if you think that there's something more urgent, and you don't need 6, it could be 5 or it could be 4. If you think 6 is too many things, that's fine. These are suggestions, that's all.
Yep, great.
So you can come back to us at some future date. I think last year you did it in October.
Yeah, we'll do it earlier than that.
That's fine.
This time.
That's fine. Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. One last item is,
Yep. Don't we have another?
we have the, the High Street thing. I was suggesting, I was going to suggest, hang on, I had that right in front of me. Open it wrong. High Street. This was an application that we had previously approved or recommended favorable action on. My understanding is that the Design Review Committee asked them to revise the front of the house and to tone down some aspects of the design. I don't recall the precise of it, but otherwise this is the same thing that we approved. I would entertain a motion that says, or no motion at all, that do we need to take action since we've already recommended this? Our previous recommendation stands. What's your pleasure?
I would move that the planning board stand by their prior recommendation.
Thank you.
I would second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Last item then concerns the annual report that our town manager has requested of all boards and department heads, and that was shared with you prior to this meeting, but also was contained in Taylor's kit. And I would ask for your permission to forward that to our town clerk. If it's okay with you, I think it's
Motion to support the report as presented.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Do you have any other business?
Thank you for doing that, by the way. Thank you.
We will be asked to do this annually. So,
The next chair,
future chairs, just remember.
it's not that.
Although it probably should get easier every time.
I think so.
Because you'll be
Thank you,
overrun.
Ian, helped me on that one. He gave me the facts.
So second year, your chair, second year, that's the rule, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a guy.
That was not mentioned previously.
They don't tell you up like that.
No, you go from clerk to chair. If there's no
Not
other
our
business,
fault if you didn't check the schedule.
you can look at the small print, yeah.
I'll go back and look through everyone's second tenure.
There's no other business. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, WinCam.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. That was.